subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis. Lon traveled to the world of HxH and awakened the known ability of infinite surprise blind box. As long as he finds specific people and places, he can find the blind box, and, after opening it, he will gain something from the infinite world. He just needs to participate in the plot and interact with the main characters to open a variety of blind boxes. So, Lon embarked on the path to becoming stronger, which was the easiest way to reach the top of the world. Chapter 1. Infinite Surprise Blind Box. Name: Lon. Age: 16. Known ability: Infinite Surprise Blind Box. Aura type: Conjuration. Skills: For basic skills, 10 protection, Zetsu suppression, Run refining, and Hatsu release. Item: None. Strength assessment: 5 points in the silent wilderness. Looking at the light screen panel that only he could see, Lon nodded. Everything is good. After all, I have become a nun user. He looked up at the sky. In the bloody sunset glow, stars were already appearing in the gradually darkening sky. With just a thought, he put away the glowing panel that no one could see. Even if others can see it, they cannot understand the words on the panel. This is because in this world, the hunter language is the official common language, totally different from the letters written on the panel. Lon is a transmigrator from the Earth, and the world he is in now is in the HxH, which was known as an absolutely high-risk world in his previous life. This place is full of intrigues and murderous intentions. If you are not careful, you may die suddenly and mysteriously. Especially in the current location that he is in, Meteor City, a place abandoned by the whole world. It is also a landfill filled with waste and garbage. According to the official introduction, this is a no man's land. Therefore, even if a baby is abandoned here, there is no need to register the national number and physical data, etc. No one knows how the residents here live, what education they receive, or what they believe in. This means that after Lon came to this world, he didn't have to worry about anyone checking his household registration and origins in the future. It is precisely because of living in this special environment that, naturally, a large number of masters have emerged. Fortunately, I have now awakened my nin ability, so I have a certain ability to protect myself. Lon looked at his nun ability, Infinite Surprise Blind Box. Again, he couldn't help but sigh. I didn't expect it to be a blind box. Before he traveled through this world, he was playing a small game of opening blind boxes, and before he knew it, he came to this world. He also brought this little game along with him, and it became his nin ability. Nun ability: Infinite Surprise Blind Box. Introduction: You can get items and skills from various infinite worlds from the blind boxes you find. Well, it's not just limited to the world of HxH. Even things from other worlds can be opened. It is worthy of the names of infinite. When it comes to being able to obtain things from the universe, such a powerful nun ability naturally follows the fair principle of equivalent exchange. It also has a limitation. That is, it's just that blind boxes are a little hard to find. Lon couldn't help but review the 2 specific conditions of his nun ability, Infinite Surprise Blind Box. 1. Blind boxes mainly appear near special people and places. 2. The more special the characters and locations are, the higher the level of the blind box that appears, and the easier it is to get high-quality items and skills. After Lon obtained this nin ability, he studied these 2 sentences carefully. Then he came to a conclusion. Isn't it that the closer you get to the main characters of this world, and the more you participate in the main plot, the better blind boxes you will encounter? The higher the level of the blind box you encounter, the easier it will be to get high-quality items. This is also easy to understand. In other words, you need to know the main storyline of this world so that you can find more and better blind boxes more easily. Lon smiled and said, So, this is actually a huge advantage for me. If someone else obtained this nin ability, they would definitely be confused. They won't know who or where the so-called special people and places are. They can only search around the world like a headless fly, but can't still find it. But for Lon, who is familiar with the plot, these are not problems at all. I still have to participate in the plot, meet the famous characters in this world, and experience some classic scenes. Lan's mind gradually became clear about his abilities and the next steps. At the same time, he couldn't help but look at the word blind box in the name of the nun ability. Rather than opening a blind box, it's more like opening a treasure chest. This ability reminded him of the treasure chest type novels he had read on Blue Star in his previous life. Just now, he opened a treasure chest. No, it was a blind box. This is a blind box from a cute girl who just walked out of here and doesn't care about anything. Lon took a deep look at the simple but clean little house in the wilderness not far away. It was here that Lon just got a plain white blind box. Get an ordinary blind box. Do you want to open it? Successfully opened, obtained, the basic 4 major principles: Tin, protection; Zetsu, suppression; Run, refining; and Hatsu, release, practice methods and applications. The grades of blind boxes are divided into ordinary, uncommon, rare, and special. What Lon got was an ordinary blind box, from which he learned the practice and application of Nun. The Nun ability is the basic power of this world, just like Haki to One Piece and Chakra to Naruto. The energy emitted by human beings is called Nun, and the ability to freely control and increase Nun is called Nun user. However, Nun mainly relies on the human life force, that is, the aura in the body. Everyone has aura in their body, but the amount varies from person to person. People who can detect and use it are called Nun users. There are almost no people who can use Nun without any training. With the 4 major principles of Nun, Lon can basically be considered a barely qualified Nun user. It's a pity that she's gone. If she were still here, maybe I could get a blind box of uncommon level or above. Lon shook his head with some regret. Chapter 2. It's time to leave here. The level of blind boxes is not fixed. The 2 factors that affect the level of blind boxes are mainly characters and places. If you arrive at the same place at different times and under different circumstances, the level of the blind box you get may be very different. To give a simple example, Whale Island is the birthplace of Gone Freaks, the protagonist of this world and the starting point of everything. There is a 1,000,000% chance that place will contain blind boxes. However, the level of the blind boxes that appear when Gon is on Whale Island and when he's not will definitely be different. Just like the Zoldyck family in Kukuru Mountain, the level of blind boxes that appear in Kukuru Mountain with and without Killua will definitely not be the same. As for the Neo Green Life, NGL, Autonomous Region, the level of blind boxes that appeared before and after the Chimera Ant landed was definitely not of the same level. This is the main influence of character and place. The main characters in the simple and clean little house in front of Lon had already left, so he was left with only a small blind box of ordinary level. The original owner of this simple and clean little house was a pretty girl with big, cute eyes. Her name is Shizuku Murasaki. She is polite but forgetful by nature and looks like an ordinary girl even when mixed in a crowd. Although she looks cute, her actual personality is surprisingly calm and ruthless, and she can be described as an emotionless killer. Not long ago, she accepted the invitation of a big guy who looked like Frankenstein to join a certain organization, which is famous in the entire Meteor City, and it is also the one that can come out of this city. A world-renowned, infamous band of diabolical thieves that has committed numerous heinous crimes around the world and is designated as a high-risk class of criminal on the blacklist. Even professional hunters have a hard time arresting them. The 13 Spiders Phantom Troop, under the leadership of their leader, Krallo, they have stepped out of Meteor City and accomplished many great things in the world, including but not limited to robbery, murder, theft, genocide. If Shizuku herself were still here, with her being a more important character in the story, the level of the blind box might be even higher. Lon walked on the empty street while thinking. But if she were really here, it would be hard to get this blind box. After all, in this city with so many talented people, if you suddenly approach someone's house without any reason, it's easy for people to suspect you have ulterior motives or bad intentions. And this kind of maliciousness often happens all the time, and people here have become accustomed to it. With Shizuku's personality and strength, I won't have any chance to get close to her. If I approach her secretly, I won't be able to avoid her perception. I won't even have a chance to explain myself. She'll just swing her vacuum cleaner and knock me over. So, It's a good thing that she's gone. At least this blind box is opened without any safety risks. Lon reviewed the current situation in his mind, and once again made up his mind to put safety first in everything he did. I remember that Shizuku joined the Phantom Troop because in the Hunter timeline in July 1996, the number 8 member was assassinated by Silva Zoldyck. After that, she was invited by Franklin to join the Phantom Troop and became the new number 8. After Silva Zoldyck completed the operation, he complained when he got home. He even told his family that assassinating members of the Phantom Troop was a very unprofitable business. It was also during this opportunity that Omokij, the original Phantom Troop's 4th member, faked his death and withdrew and was replaced by Toilet God of War and Fruit Farmer, Hisoka. And Shizuku joined the Phantom Troop the year after Silva did that job, which was in 1997. Gon caught the Swamp King and left Whale Island on January 4th, 1999. That means from now on, there are less than 2 years before the main storyline begins. Lon silently pondered the current time node and considered how to maximize the profits from the blind box. I have to take advantage of the right time and place and get the best blind box when important people are around. Really? Can't I have abilities that are easier and more convenient? Lon was somewhat helpless. For example, the 4th dimensional treasure bag that came with Doryman when I traveled through time, the props inside are enough to make me a prop master. I am invincible with all kinds of props. Or Corpse Touch is also good. It can gain various abilities and powers from the dead. Touching corpses can make you stronger. It is the most suitable starting point in Meteor City, where there is no shortage of dead bodies. Even the ability to draw comics will be fine, gaining strength from your own comics. Well, although I don't have any drawing skills, so I don't know if I can draw well. All kinds of complicated nun abilities flashed through Lan's mind. But in the end, he had to face reality. Forget it. Use whatever ability you have. Of course, the most important point now, Lon looked up at the gloomy sky, realized it was getting late, and he couldn't help but quicken his pace. I need to leave this damn place. Meteor City is a place of outstanding people, and the things they say are very nice. But the people here are also very bad, and you may face ill intentions from all sides at any time. Adhering to the idea of leaving earlier and being safer, Lon chose to walk out of here without hesitation. However, there are still many valuable places worth exploring in Meteor City. For example, the hometowns of former members of the Phantom Troop, such as Krallo, Maki, and Yuvajin, as well as the residence of the Elder, etc. But firstly, who knows what kind of dangers you will face when going to those places? And secondly, it is better to go out to a safe place outside and open a lot of blind boxes safely to improve his strength. By then, when he has the strength, he can travel to various places with ease. As for how to get out generally, there are 2 methods. One is to be like the Phantom Troop, relying on their own powerful strength to break through the encirclement of various countries around them and fight their way out. Even after they left, their connection with Meteor City has never been interrupted, and they're the main financial providers of Meteor City's military forces. In addition to that, there are many forces outside that cooperate with Meteor City. This is the second way out. For many mafias, a place like Meteor City, with many talented people, is a good place to recruit subordinates. Chapter 3. The Fortune Teller Under the Moonlight. Lon paused. The bright moonlight, accompanied by the twinkling stars, fell on the open space ahead. There, a vague line of black cars was formed. In front of the convoys were guys wearing black suits. They were obviously not good people and looked even harder to mess with than the people in Meteor City. Meteor City cooperates with many external forces. There's no need to mention the Phantom Troop, our own people who walked out of here. The Zoldyck family at Kukra Mountain, their current butler, Godo, and the intern, Canary, all came from Meteor City. Even the wife of the current head of the family, Kikyo Zoldyck, was born in Meteor City. Perhaps only the extraordinary people in Meteor City can make killer families like the Zoldyck family feel ease. In addition to these, many mafias currently active in 6 continents also have more or less cooperation with Meteor City. They recruit members from Meteor City and give those who want to leave Meteor City what they want. Identity, proof, work, money, a much more comfortable environment than here, and the outside world they long to see. This has almost become an industrial chain. The mafias have been using the residents of Meteor City to do illegal things, and the elders want to gain benefit from the mafias outside and maintain their rule in Meteor City. They're also willing to send the people here out. However, not everyone has this qualification. Those who can cooperate with the Meteor City's elders are all top mafias on the 6 continents. Only some middle and lower-level mafia families would choose to come to this free market-like wilderness to try their luck. See if you can meet some ordinary people from the middle and lower classes of Meteor City who are also here to try their luck, and see if they can find a suitable boss to take them away. This is a mutual selection process. Lon had only been in Meteor City for a short time. He had no contact with the elders and did not want to have any contact at all. He planned to find a suitable boss here as a springboard to leave. Then, after obtaining his identity documents, he can look for opportunities to venture into the outside world and look for higher-level blind boxes. This was Lan's original idea, and he was planning to do just that. But it seems like I can change my plans a little bit. Looking at a familiar face among the mafias not far away, Lon couldn't help rubbing his chin. At the same time, within Lan's sight, is there really a special talent here? Who can help me? Light Nostrade lit up his cigar, and through the curling smoke, he looked at the group of sloppy Meteor City hooligans in front of him with a slightly annoyed look. If it weren't for Neon's fortune poems, which have always been very accurate, I wouldn't have come to this damn place based on the content of the divination. He appeared calm on the surface, but inwardly, he was dodging the swaying figures in front of him with disgust. When he thought that someone who could be useful to him would appear among these guys, Light Nostrade even had the urge to run away immediately. However, his desire for money and power forced him to suppress these thoughts. Neon's divinations have never been wrong. Every time she provided me with divination, it was absolutely correct, and this time was no exception. As long as I can make good use of this future intelligence, I will definitely climb to a position that everyone looks up to. Don't even mention the Ritz family, where I am now. Even the 10 Mafia Dons will have to look at me differently, or I can even replace them. The thought of the beautiful future that he could achieve with the help of his daughter's magical ability made the burning flame of ambition no longer suppressed in Light Nostrade's eyes. He is currently just a small boss in the Ritz family and has not had time to establish his own Nostrade family. However, God was kind to him and gave him a good daughter. His daughter, Neon Nostrade, has the ability to predict the future. It was with this ability that Light Nostrade, after multiple verifications and confirmation of her accuracy, began to gradually accumulate a lot of wealth. His ambitions and desires also grew. He was ambitious and ready to make a big move and set up his own mafia family. But if he wants to develop his own power, he naturally needs a certain amount of manpower. Even the 10 Mafia Dons have many mafia families serving as their thugs. They even have in their hands the legendary 10 Shadow Beasts, the most powerful force that they are proud of. The 10 Mafia Dons have many talented people under their command. Since he wants to become a top mafia, and even has the ambition to replace them, he naturally has to recruit a lot of talents. What's more, his precious daughter, who can help him achieve everything, also needs reliable people to protect her. And this time, it was he who asked Neon for help and coaxed her for a long time before she wrote the fortune poems about the location of suitable personnel. Then, he came here, a man who is clean, polite, generous, and noticeable at first sight. Are these the characteristics mentioned in the prophecy? Light Nostrade eyes narrowed, and he looked carefully at this group of hooligans in Meteor City. These guys don't seem to be clean at all, let alone have good manners. Light Nostrade did not think that the prophecy was wrong. Instead, he once suspected that he had found the wrong place or misread the content of the prophecy. Just when he was hesitating whether to stay any longer, "Excuse me, are you hiring?" A young and polite voice sounded in Light Nostrade's ears. Chapter 4. He is the only one who is blind boxed to open clean, polite, generous, and noticeable at first glance. This was Light Nostrade's first impression of the man who appeared before him. The main reason is that it is in too stark contrast to the other thugs on Meteor City who are there with their eyes rolling around, thinking of some bad ideas, or talking dirty and having a very gangster style. This allows him to intuitively and quickly make his own judgments and evaluations. And it just happened to be exactly the same as the judgment he made in the fortune poems he had read before. A fortune poem does not give a straightforward and exact explanation. He needs to get the answer he wants from the poem itself. Light Nostrade has read a lot of fortune poems and knows the meaning of some words. For example, sleeping basically represents death and so on. That's why he had suspected that his understanding of the prophecy was wrong, which led to him coming to such a shabby place. But obviously, when a young man in front of him came to him on his own initiative, Light Nostrade knew Neon's fortune poems made another accurate judgment. It is indeed a powerful ability to predict the future. I must firmly grasp this ability. In his heart, he was once again amazed and delighted at the power of the fortune poems, and a somewhat friendly expression appropriately appeared on his face. Ahem, that's right. He coughed lightly and said in a soothing tone, "Our Nostrade family is a potential stock among the current underworld mafias. In order to develop better, we plan to recruit many capable people. Of course, our family has very strict requirements for the people we recruit." Light Nostrade used his eloquence to talk about a lot of exaggerated and empty cliché things. Lon nodded from time to time as he listened. Well, just as he imagined, the person in front of him was none other than Light Nostrade, the head of the Nostrade family, who later had a strong presence in the York New City chapter. He is also the boss of a mafia family that Kurapika specially selected to join in order to pursue the Phantom Troop. Light Nostrade was originally a member of a local mafia, a small leader under the Ritz family. Later, relying on his daughter, Neon Nostrade's ability, including helping himself and other mafia leaders to foresee the future, he climbed to a high-level position second only to the 10 mafia dons. As a result, he is often looked down upon by other mafia members. But he didn't care. Instead, he believed that the key to success was to master future intelligence. Therefore, they are extremely disdainful of the provocative behavior of other mafias and regard it as the jealous face of a man who is really ugly. He appears to be very wise and full of dignity. At the same time, Light Nostrade is also a very ambitious person who will not miss any opportunity to climb up. In the York New City chapter, after he learned that the legendary shadow beasts under the command of the 10 Mafia Dons were completely wiped out and that the 10 Mafia Dons planned to hire a professional killer team, he realized that his chance had come. Light Nostrade asks Kurapika, who had captured Uvijin, a member of the Phantom Troop, to join them in order to make his name known to the underworld. He is a man who appears to be kind and wise on the outside, but is ambitious on the inside, and yet he is also an extremely fragile man. Light Nostrade's doting on his daughter Neon all comes from his desire to use her ability to madly grab money, status, and power. He believes that as long as he can freely use her prophecy ability, he can even control the entire world. Even reaching the status of the 10 Mafia Dons is no longer a dream. Therefore, when Neon's Nin ability was stolen by Krallo, and she lost her prophecy ability to predict the future, he fell into deep despair. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he was howling hysterically, making him look ugly as if he were on the verge of collapse. Everything he had was based on prophecy ability. Later, after Kurapika took over the Nostrade family, Neon lived a happy life. She even went to the Heavens Arena to watch the annual Battle Olympia. Maybe due to various reasons, an accident occurred later, causing the Nun ability stolen by Krallo to disappear. But it's much better than Light Nostrade, who never appeared again. Many things about Light Nostrade came to his mind, and Lon also gave a brief summary of him. Strong on the outside, but weak on the inside, lack knowledge, vision, and ability, and are easy to control. He only has the ability to become a local leader, and he only rose to prominence based on Neon's prophecy ability. Without Neon, he is nothing. There is not much to be concerned about. Lon thought so. This is also the reason why he came to Light Nostrade and changed his subsequent ideas. The Nostrade family has not yet risen to prominence, and no one knows why Light Nostrade came to this place. But once he joins in, it is indeed a very good place to go, not to mention the subsequent York New City chapter, in which he will play a significant role. By then, many blind boxes will emerge. And as a mafia family that is about to take off, it will have everything, including money, intelligence, power, etc. After he walk out of Meteor City, he will have to do a lot of things and encounter a lot of trouble. Many troubles can be easily solved once you have your own power, especially power in the underworld. Sometimes, there is a real difference between a lone person fighting alone and a force with the support of an organization or group. Lon still understands the principle that it is good to lean on a big tree for shade. Lon especially knew very well what the future direction of the Nostrade family would be. He knows what to do, and it is the best option for him. Of course, the main point is he's the only one who has blind boxes to open. Lon looked at the blind box with white light that only existed beside light Nostrade, and he became more determined in his choice. Chapter 5. It seems that my current job is to deal with things like this. Get an ordinary blind box. Do you want to open it? Open successfully. Gain 1 cubic meter of basic storage space. Can be stacked. Storage space? That's not bad. According to Lan's perception, as long as he thought about it, he could see an illusory storage space. He can put in and take out various items on his own, though. That's good too. After I open the blind box and get something, I can put it directly into this storage space. And this time, I opened a cubic meter, which can be stacked. Maybe I can add more space when I open blind boxes in the future. There are blind boxes around Light Nostrade. There is no reason why his daughter, Neon, who is a more key figure, would not have. As a character who appears in the plot and promotes the development of the story to a certain extent, Light Nostrade naturally has a blind box next to him. It's a pity that it's only an ordinary level. About Neon Nostrade, Lon is looking forward to meeting her and getting a higher level blind box. If I'm right, blind boxes won't appear just once. As the plot progresses, when a character becomes more important and plays a larger role in a certain chapter, it will reappear next to the character, and its level will also become higher. In that case, he really has to go to the Nostrade family. These thoughts flashed quickly in Lan's mind. And at this moment, Light Nostrade, in front of him, also finished talking about those superficial cliché things. That's the case right now. Our Nostrade family is definitely the mafia family with the most potential for development right now. He pursed his lips, which were dry from talking, and finally concluded. In short, joining us is definitely a correct and wise choice. Just as he finished saying this, "Ha ha ha, Light, you really dare to say that." A harsh, mocking voice was heard nearby. What about the Nostrade family? When will a guy like you be able to establish a family? Anyone can hear the sarcasm and ridicule in those words. Ken Porter. Light Nostrade's face suddenly darkened. Hearing that familiar accent, he knew which bastard said that without even looking. You rubbish are here too. Light Nostrade had a particularly unhappy expression on his face as he looked at the two people who had made the sound and were walking towards him. Why? If the fruit flies in your toilet to look for food, it's reasonable for me to follow with a fly swatter, right? Ken Porter, who was walking in front, was thin, had a hooked nose and sunken cheeks, said with a forced smile. If a wretch like you can come out to look for trash, then of course I can come out and look for a beast to assist me. After Ken Porter finished speaking, the tall and strong man with huge muscles bulging out of his body, who was following behind him, blew out a cloud of white air from his nostrils. The beast described by Ken Porter had dark skin and a shiny bald head. He also cooperated by posing with his muscles. Looking at Lon, who looked particularly thin compared to him, there was obvious contempt in his eyes. Humph, maybe it's just good-looking but useless stuff. Light Nostrade couldn't help but snorted coldly. This guy named Ken Porter, like him, is a small leader under the Ritz family. It can be said that they're on an equal footing with each other, and because of this, the two rivals in the same industry dislike each other. They all think about how to suppress and step on the other party to get to the top, and wish they could kill the other party completely as soon as they get the chance. Looks good, but not useful. Ken Porter's hooked nose twitched, and he said with a fake smile, "You were talking about yourself, right? Your shabby family boasts of its potential." As he spoke, he looked at Lon standing beside him and shook his head. Sure enough, trash attracts trash. It's really appropriate and fitting for a useless family to recruit useless people. Ha ha ha. You bastard. Light Nostrade's face suddenly became very ugly. He wanted to open his mouth to curse back, but the dark bald man behind Ken Porter stared at him intently, forcing him to hold back his words. Let's go. There's no point staying here at all. Seeing that Light Nostrade was still so cowardly and submissive, the other members of the mafia families nearby, who were watching the fun, laughed loudly. Enjoying this highlight moment that attracted everyone's attention, Ken Porter, feeling extremely happy, turned around happily and waved to the dark-skinned man from Meteor City whom he had just recruited. Bullying trash will only dirty our hands. With a smile full of victory, he was about to leave. But it was at this moment, "Boss, are you just going to let them go like this?" A rather bland voice sounded in the venue. Ken Porter paused and turned around when he heard the sound. What do you mean? Even Light Nostrade, who had a very gloomy face, turned his head and looked at Lon, who was speaking. I mean, Lon pointed his finger toward Ken Porter and asked calmly, "These two pieces of shit came to disgust us, and we just let them leave like that. Don't you want to clean it up? Of course, if you're afraid of getting your hands dirty, boss." Lon spread his hands slightly and said with a smile, "You can also let me do it for you. After all, my current job seems to be to deal with things like this, right?" Chapter 6. There's one left. What the hell are you talking about, kid? Ken Porter's expression changed for the first time, and there was a hint of murderous intent in his eyes as he looked at Lon. Lon didn't even look in his direction. He was just waiting for Light Nostrade's reply. Cleaning up shit. Light Nostrade was also stunned when he heard this. However, when he felt that more mafia families were paying attention to this place, and he thought of Neon's magical ability, which never made mistakes. Indeed, he gritted his teeth and pretended to be calm on the surface. It's better to clean up this kind of dirty stuff as soon as possible so that it won't pollute our eyes. Lon, who he wanted to recruit, had said so. If he, as the boss, didn't say something, it would really be like what Ken Porter said. It's too useless, like garbage. What's more, with so many mafia members from the surrounding families looking here, he couldn't lose face on such an occasion. You want to die? Hearing that, Light Nostrade, a piece of trash whom he didn't take seriously, dared to be so arrogant. A cold light suddenly flashed in Ken Porter's eyes. Tear their heads off. Ken Porter's face was ferocious and full of murderous intent, as he said. Just like what you showed me before. Hearing this, the dark-skinned bald man behind him immediately rushed out. The speed was so fast, like a black shadow shooting out, which made the surrounding mafias look terrified. This Ken Porter has recruited a good subordinate. Other members of the mafia families whispered with serious expressions. Originally, they thought that this big guy was so sturdy and must be very strong, a complete muscle type. But they didn't expect that his agility was also so high. As expected, Meteor City is full of hidden talents. Just any big guy you find randomly can have such strength and speed. This is beyond most of their bodyguards. Well, what they mean by most people here is just ordinary people. However, for Lon, I see. After getting a response from Light Nostrade, Lon nodded slightly. Then he turned his head and looked at the dark-skinned man who was running towards him rapidly. So slow. Lon shook his head and then, swish. Everyone only felt a flash before their eyes, and Lan's figure disappeared from the spot. There was only a circle of slightly splashed gray dust where he had stood. The dark bald man's pupils suddenly shrank when he saw this. Gone. There was no trace of Lon in his sight. This also caused him to subconsciously pause in his charge. And this pause, that is a lifetime whoosh. It was as if a breeze blew past him. Before he could even notice it, he felt a sharp pain in his throat. Immediately afterward, pain entered the mind, directly cutting off all images and consciousness. The last scene before the dark bald man's eyes was only the spinning world and endless darkness. Plop! The tall and strong body shook twice and then lost all support and fell to the ground. The heavy body smashed down, splashing up layers of dust. At this time, the dust and smoke flying where Lon had originally stood had not yet completely dissipated. All this happened in a flash, leaving people no time to react. In fact, Not only the dark bald man, but also the members of other mafia families who were watching around were unable to see Land's speed. The entire venue was in complete silence. How can this be? Ken Porter originally had a ferocious look on his face, as if he could see the heads of light no strayed, and the shameless kid being twisted off in the next second. At this moment, the expression full of malice and pleasure suddenly froze on his face. Is this a joke? His eyes gradually widened, still in disbelief, as he stared at the dark-skinned, bald man lying motionless on the ground. Hey, you're the beast that casually twisted 5 people's heads off with your own hands. You're a monster. His hands were bent like claws, and he said in an angry tone, "Don't be ridiculous. How could you be knocked down by a mere monkey? Get up now." He shouted at the top of his lungs. Don't you want to go out and make money, live a life of luxury, find pretty girls, and screw more people? I promised you all this before. Get up, you bastard. Seeing that the other party was still lying on the ground, Ken Porter finally broke down and started to become hysterical. Lon, did you knock him down? Not only Ken Porter, but even Light Nostrade couldn't believe it. He didn't expect that this dangerous guy, who looked so ferocious and difficult to deal with, would just fall to the ground like that. He had no power to fight back and was knocked down in an instant. He subconsciously looked at Lon, who waved his hands there with a casual and indifferent look on his face. It seemed as if everything he had just done were insignificant things, as simple as driving away a fly. I have solved one. Lon raised his head and looked at Ken Porter, who was still hysterical, with an emotionless gaze. There's one left. Chapter 7 surrounded them all by himself. Ken Porter, who was originally howling loudly, suddenly shuddered at this moment. The hairs all over his body stood up as if he were being stared at by some deadly beast. Don't come over here. When he raised his head and met Land's gaze, he was so scared that he kept backing away. Click! He quickly took out the pistol from his waist, loaded it, and pointed the black muzzle at the seemingly harmless guy in front of him. What on earth did you just do? It seemed as if the gun in his hand gave Ken Porter great courage, and he asked loudly, "Forget it, no matter what you did." The anger and viciousness in his eyes flashed. "It doesn't matter anymore, just die." Adhering to the principle of being ruthless and talking little, Ken Porter decisively pulled the trigger quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Flames were flying, the black muzzle was spewing fire, and a series of bullets poured towards Lon. At such a distance, it would be difficult for any ordinary person to survive facing such firepower. But this is only for ordinary people. It's still too slow. Still leaving behind a few words lightly, Land's figure disappeared from everyone's sight again. Even Killua, at this current time, can easily dodge bullets. Not to mention that I have activated my nin ability now, although the strength score given is only 5 points. Strength assessment. 5 points. This is not a scumbag with a combat power of only 5. The strength assessment score given by the Infinite Surprise Blind Box, Telepathy, is somewhat close to the scores given by Hisoka to many members of the Hunter Association in the selection of the new president of the Hunter Association. Hisoka gave scores to the many hunters he came into contact with, including the Zodiac 12, who voted. Sheep, Jinna scored the highest, 90 points. Tiger, Kanzai scored 85 points. And Rabbit, Peon scored the lowest, 77 points. The low score was based on Hisoka's personal judgment. Some other hunters have scores of 10, 20, 30, 45, 50, and even 2 points. So much so that Hisoka couldn't help but sigh. Although he is a professional hunter, is this all he can do? Anyone with even a little bit of strength can pass the extremely difficult hunter test, acquire the nin ability, and become a professional hunter. Then, relatively speaking, with Land's current strength of 5 points, it's better than most people. At least, he is a little stronger than some professional hunters in the Hunter Association. Where did he go? Where did that bastard go again? The gun froze in midair after spitting out flames. Ken Porter didn't care and continued to pull the trigger frantically. With bloodshot eyes, he stared at the empty space hit by bullets and screamed madly. Same thing as before. Coward trash wimp. If you have the guts, come out and show me. Click. The roaring voice stopped abruptly, accompanied by a crisp sound, Ken Porter saw the scene behind his head. As you wish. Lon wiped his hands and said calmly. Ken Porter, with his neck twisted 180 degrees, opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. Plop. He also fell to the ground like the beast he recruited and followed in his footsteps. That's perfect. At least this way, they can accompany each other on the road to the underworld. It actually fulfills your master-servant relationship. Lon looked at the two people lying neatly on the ground and nodded. Compared to breaking a throat, turning a person's head in a circle is still a bit inconvenient. Lon reflected on his previous actions. One hand is enough to break the throat, and two hands are needed to turn the head. Of course, one hand can also be used to increase the force. But even Franklin likes to break necks with two hands, so there's a reason for that. When Lon was reviewing his action, the mafia nearby finally came to their senses. Crash! They all stepped back in unison, leaving more space in the area. This guy, everyone understood that the young man in front of them, who looked harmless and showed no danger or intimidation, was the most terrifying guy. Are everything solved? Light Nostrade stared at the scene in front of him in a daze. He really couldn't have imagined that just now, his current mortal enemy, the guy who was so full of energy and mocking and despising himself before now lay on the ground like a dead dog. And it was completely over. He could never stand up again. Yes, boss. It's all been solved. After reviewing his action, Lon, who felt that a broken throat was more suitable for his concise and sharp style, came over. Any other questions? Or is there anything else that needs to be dealt with? As he spoke, he looked around casually. Others that need to be taken care of. Light Nostrade instantly noticed the alert looks of the other mafias nearby. They all acted as if they were facing a great enemy. They nervously placed their hands on their bulging waists and stared at the two men with extreme fear. They were afraid that one of them would give the order and the other would take action. Judging from the young man's skills just now, it seems that their current situation is very dangerous. The other party surrounded them all by himself. Chapter 8. This is my unconditional trust in you as a boss. No. Feeling that the atmosphere was immediately unusual, Light Nostrade became nervous again and quickly waved his hands. He is not yet so arrogant as to act recklessly and make enemies with all other mafia families. However, when he saw his colleague around him, they all breathed a sigh of relief after hearing that he would not do anything. The tense body relaxed, and the fearful eyes. Light Nostrade felt a sudden surge of infinite pleasure in his heart. That tingling, refreshing, wonderful feeling that makes his whole body feel like it's being electrified. Isn't it exactly what he has been dreaming of? As expected, I knew that Neon's fortune poems would not be wrong. It is absolutely correct. Light Nostrade raised his head, his eyes full of fiery fire, while staring at Lon in front of him. This is the person I'm looking for. He solemnly extended his hand to Lon and formally introduced him. Light Nostrade, Lon. After exchanging their names, the two of them officially shake hands together at this moment. Then please take good care of me from now on, Lon chuckled and said, Boss. When Light Nostrade heard this, he could no longer hide the smile on his face. Although his Nostrade family had just been established and was paved by Neon's magical ability. On the external front, he still has talented people like Lon. No matter from which perspective, the rise of the Nostrade family can be said to be just around the corner. Even Light Nostrade felt that God was helping him. One day, I will climb to the highest position and replace the 10 Mafia Dons. I will definitely do it. Under Light Nostrade's burning ambition and the fearful gazes of his fellow Mafias around him, the vehicle belonging to the Nostrade family slowly drove away. As dusk fell, darkness once again enveloped this abandoned land. Lon took the car, leaving the night and heading towards a future that was brighter and more hopeful. After many twists and turns, the place where Light Nostrade is currently staying is not as luxurious as the super large mansion he later has. However, as a small leader under the Ritz family, he still has a small villa. The environment is a little bit shabby, but this is only temporary. Light Nostrade walked ahead, showing Lon around his current home. It won't be long before we move to a new and better environment. He is confident and ambitious. He is full of expectations for everything in the future. Lon looked around, looking for a blind box to be opened. The other bodyguards aren't in place yet, right? Not finding anyone familiar, Lon took the tissue from the old butler and thanked him. This old butler was later sacrificed by Dalzaline without any regard for his own life, when he was testing Karapika and other bodyguards for the job. And since Lon arrived here first, there would be no chance for Dalzaline after that. Your identity certificate will be issued in the next 2 days, and Kaharaba will explain some basic information about the outside world to you in detail. Light Nostrade pointed at the old butler and said, "And you, Lon, are my most trusted and capable assistant now." He said very seriously, "From now on, you are the leader of my bodyguards. Although the bodyguard team doesn't have many people yet, and everything is just starting, but I believe that with your ability, you can definitely build an extremely outstanding team. Regarding matters such as recruiting personnel for the bodyguard team, I will leave it entirely to you to take care of." He clenched his fists, patted his chest vigorously, and said firmly, "This is my unreserved trust in you as a boss." Well, it's also a pretty big piece of pie drawn for him. Although Lon had just come out of Meteor City and had not had time to eat, the cakes drawn by Light Nostrade were enough to make him feel full. But after all, Light Nostrade can actually do it. In the original version, he really let go and handed over the power of the bodyguard to Dalzaline, and it was not clear how many people were in the bodyguard team and what kind of people they were. He has always only been communicating with Dalzaline. It was not until Dalzaline died that he knew there was such a person as Karapika. Then, through contact and chatting with him, he accepted Karapika and made him the new leader of bodyguard. Thus, after obtaining this great autonomy, Lon also humbly said some polite words, expressing his intention of definitely not letting the boss down. Then, under the guidance of the old butler, Lon washed up first and then enjoyed a sumptuous dinner. By the way, why don't I see any maids? Don't we have maids here? At the dining table, Lon was peeling the shell of a green leaf crab and eating the green crab meat inside while asking casually, "This is a unique high-end seafood delicacy in the hunter world, a delicacy discovered by gourmet hunters. The Nostrade family doesn't have much stock of this level of seafood delicacies. Light Nostrade brought it out today, specifically to welcome Lon. The maids are all with the young lady." The old butler knew everything. Because the young lady's hobbies are a bit special, there have always been maids who couldn't accept it and resigned, resulting in the current lack of maids. Chapter 9. The first uncommon blind box. Well, Neon Nostrade's hobby and interest is collecting human bodies, including internal organs, and she has only collected dead objects. It is indeed quite incongruous that a cute little girl likes this kind of thing. It is easy for people to think that the employer is a shady or perverted one and leave for safety reasons. Lon nodded and took the crab meat from the crab legs and put it into his mouth. Suddenly, the delicious taste jumped on the tip of his tongue, making him squint his eyes in slight comfort. This is the first time he has tasted such delicacy. In fact, becoming a food hunter and tasting all kinds of food in the future is also a good choice. He clapped his hands and ate the last crab leg. Okay, after eating and drinking, he stretched and then slowly stood up. It's time to meet the main job protection target. Lon adjusted the tie on his chest and stood tall and straight. After taking a shower and tidying himself up, he changed into a black suit, a standard outfit for mafias that looked like a tough-to-touch outfit. Although, I still think the black trench coat suits my style better. Lon put his hands in his pockets and looked at himself in the mirror beside him. But the suit thugs, he looked at his figure in the mirror, straightened himself up, and couldn't help but smile. It's not bad, actually. Lon became the leader of the Nostrade family's bodyguard. The main job is to protect the safety of family members, but currently, there are only 2 members of the Nostrade family. One is Light Nostrade, who needs to go out for business all year round. He only needs to have some underlings with sunglasses and guns as his subordinates to show off his strength. The other one is Land's most important protection target. That is his daughter, Neon Nostrade, who wrote miraculous fortune poems. Light Nostrade knew very well that the key to his success lay in his precious daughter. Protecting her is the highest priority besides himself. Neon Nostrade was well protected and pampered by Light Nostrade, even spoiled. The room specially decorated for her is all pink and luxurious princess style. The room where Neon lived was the largest, most central, and best room in the entire villa. Even Light Nostrade himself only lived next door. Led by the old butler Caraba, Lon came to the room, opened the door, walked in, and met the real owner. "Are there any new people here?" Neon Nostrade, who was lying on the bed with her legs bent and raised, kicking constantly, looked up when she heard the noise. She thought it was a new maid found for her. Her long blue hair fell over her shoulders and was tied into a cute bun on top. The dark green pupils blinked, matching the fair skin and watery big eyes. She looks like a blue-haired little loli with a simple and cute appearance. Sure enough, the real person is more three-dimensional, and the image is more beautiful. Lon, who witnessed this other key character in the plot with his own eyes, sighed in his heart. However, what attracted Lon the most was the blind box next to Neon Nostrade, which exuded a faint blue glow and was invisible to others. The one that emits white light is an ordinary gray blind box. The one that emits blue light is it of uncommon level? Lon chuckled in his heart. Sure enough, after coming here and meeting familiar people, you will definitely gain something. Get an uncommon blind box. Do you want to open it? Open. Just as Lon opened the blind box, Neon Nostrade also paid attention to Lon. When she saw such a strange man walk in, she was stunned at first. Then suddenly, her eyes lit up. Nene, she turned into a weird person and greeted excitedly. "Are you the bodyguard that my father hired to serve me? It's to protect your safety, not to serve you." Lon responded casually. "It's all the same, all the same." Neon Nostrade immediately sat up from the bed, crossed her legs in an M shape, and looked at Lon with stars in her eyes. "My father is very strict with me. I seldom play with people of my own age, especially men of my own age." Neon Nostrade is only 15 years old this year, 1 year younger than Lon. Strictly speaking, the two of them can be considered to be of the same age. "Please, young lady, you need to understand that my job is to keep you safe, not to play," Lon said in a businesslike tone. The cute little loli in front of him looks innocent and cute on the surface, but she is actually quite spoiled inside. How could a normal girl like collecting human organs, especially those from corpses? Although she has not been spoiled by Light Nostrade yet, as the eldest daughter of a mafia's boss, she must be treated and loved as she deserves. Especially after learning that she had the ability to predict the future, Light Nostrade doted on her and loved her even more. "I don't care, I don't care." Sure enough, after Lon refused, the corners of her mouth immediately fell. "My father hired you to be my bodyguard, so listen to me. My job is to protect you, not to serve you as your servant." Lon crossed his arms and calmly explained. "And you also said that it was your father who hired me, so your father is my boss. Between his request and your order, I will definitely choose the former." Neon was unwilling. "What if even if you, miss, ask the boss to give me orders and make me obey you, I will definitely make protecting you the top priority." Lon anticipated her action and said with a smile, "I think even the boss will agree with me." Neon Nostrade's Nun ability. Lovely Ghostwriter, specialization type. Introduction. Neon predicts the future through quatrains that she writes down unconsciously. The summoned Lovely Ghostwriter is a nun beast that manipulates Neon's arm to automatically write her poems. The target must hand write his name, aliases and handles count, full date of birth, and blood type on the piece of paper on which she will write the poem. A picture of the target's face is necessary if he isn't present. Neon's fortunes take the form of a poem with 4 or 5 quatrains, less if the target's fortune is to die within the next 4 weeks, of 4 lines each. Each verse represents a week of the current month, and typically, events referenced in the poem are present as metaphors. Inauspicious fortunes always contain advice, and misfortune can be avoided if warnings are heeded. She cannot predict her own future. Chapter 10. Heaven's Arena, Aya. Seeing that Lon was adamant and difficult to talk to, Neon Nostrade immediately rolled over on the bed. "I hate you. I want my dad to change my bodyguard," she yelled very self-willedly. Please go ahead, Lon shrugged slightly. This is your right, young lady. You can express your opinions to the boss at any time. As for whether the boss is willing to adopt it, that is his business. At least before the boss fires me. My duty now is to protect your safety, young lady. You bastard. Neon Nostrade was furious. She collapsed on the bed helplessly, feeling lost and bored. I thought I could find someone to play with me. I'm also thinking about going to the Heavens Arena to watch this year's battle Olympia. In the end, I'm still trapped here by a stubborn and rigid fool. Heavens Arena. Hearing this, Lon raised his eyebrows. Miss, are you talking about the Heavens Arena located in the Republic of Padokia? If not, Neon Nostrade rolled her eyes weakly. Is there any other place in the world that can be called the Heavens Arena and can host a battle Olympia? There's indeed none. Lon nodded slightly. As a holy place in the minds of martial artists around the world, the Heavens Arena enjoys great fame all over the world. In particular, the Battle Olympia, which influences 6 continents, is a grand event in the fighting and martial arts circles around the world. Many martial artists and fighters, as well as people from all walks of life who are passionate about this sport, will come here to watch this match. Lon did remember that it was during the Battle of Olympia. Neon Nostrade came to the Heavens Arena to watch the game under Kurapika's protection. They also opened a single room at a high place, which is definitely a VIP platform. She is quite interested in this kind of event, or maybe she just likes to join the fun. But the next one was going to be quite lively. There's a bunch of people that messed things up, and it made quite a big noise. Lon still remembers what happened in the subsequent theatrical version, but it was still early in the future. He looked at Neon's listless appearance and couldn't help but think, if the lady wants to go to watch the competition, it is not impossible. The hair that had been drooping down immediately stood up, and Neon Nostrade raised her head suddenly. Are you serious? Of course, my mission is only to ensure your safety, not to restrict your personal freedom. Lon said calmly, as long as the boss agrees, I will naturally have no objection. That's great. Neon Nostrade cheered and jumped up from the bed. Of course, even if we can get there, Lon said calmly. Miss, your safety is our top priority. If something uncontrollable happens at the competition site, I will be ready to make the decision and take action to protect you and evacuate. Hey, I see. Neon Nostrade was filled with joy at this moment. She didn't care what Lon said. I'm going to talk to my dad about this. After saying that, she jumped off the bed and ran to the door in small steps. Just as she opened the door and was about to go out. Actually, I discovered she turned around and looked at Lon, blinking her eyes. You're a pretty good guy. Neon Nostrade squinted her eyes and nodded her head. You are barely qualified to be my bodyguard. Barely qualified? Looking at Neon's receding back, Lon smiled slightly. Although Neon Nostrade is rather spoiled and willful, she is generally obedient and can tell the difference between the important and the unimportant things. There is no need to say more about her father, Light Nostrade. Later, when she was in Yerknu City, she even had to ask Dalzaline for permission before going shopping. Later, after Dalzaline died, Kurapika asked her to call Light to introduce him first, and she did so. After all, her magical ability is the source of the Nostrade family's rise. Although Light Nostrade loves his daughter very much, this is the foundation of everything he has obtained. So how can he not protect and control her well? At least in that bloody and cruel underworld that is comparable to hell, Neon Nostrade lives a good life. It's easier to arrange for a young lady like this. Lon, who had already thought of many arrangements in his mind, followed without any pressure. The Heavens Arena is also well worth a visit. He won't say much about Castro and other people who are often active in the Heavens Arena. There are also many other familiar faces who came to this Battle Olympia. Every Battle Olympia will attract attention from all sides, and countless martial artists will rush here. As the world's largest and most well-known organization, the Hunter Association will also send representatives here. Then President Netero will definitely be there. Lon looked at his storage space, where he found the item he had just opened from the blue uncommon level blind box. The uncommon blind box gives you this good stuff, so the blind box that comes with Netero must be something special. right? Chapter 11. The Collector Get an Uncommon Blind Box. Do you want to open it? Open successfully. Gain firearms. The Collector. Source World. League of Legends. What comes out of this uncommon blind box is equipment from the League of Legends game. As expected, it is worthy of being called the Infinite Surprise Blind Box. It really has things from all over the world. Even equipment from the game world can be opened. Lon flipped his hand casually, and an exquisite pistol appeared in his hand. The pistol was glowing with a faint golden glow, and the gun body was wrapped in special runes. If you look closely, it spreads out like a golden dragon bone. It exudes a slightly solemn and sacred visual feeling. Compared with the appearance, Lon paid more attention to the inherent characteristics of this equipment: death and tax, and uniqueness. Death and taxes. If the damage you cause causes an enemy's health to drop below 5%, they will be executed immediately. Killing an enemy will provide you with an additional 25 gold coins. Uniqueness. Indestructible, indivisible, unlimited bullets. If the kill line is below 5%, just kill them, and I can also get 25 gold coins. It won't be damaged, and its durability is maxed out. Plus, it has an unlimited amount of bullets. This gun is perfect for clearing out minions and harvesting the battlefield. Lon waited and played with it for a while, then turned the gun and put it on his waist. With a gun in hand, he looks more like a standard mafia in a suit. Even the uncommon level blind box has such good equipment. There's no reason why Netero's blind box would be worse. As a key figure in the plot, the level of the blind box is around this old man. Even if he hasn't officially entered the plot, are at least rare-level blind boxes. The Heavens Arena is definitely worth a visit. Even though Netero had no interest in such a martial arts event, he still had to attend in person due to a series of official factors. Even if he just shows up and hides in his room to drink tea, he has to come. And this is exactly Lan's opportunity. Perhaps he would meet a lot of interesting people at this martial arts event. After leaving Meteor City, Lon first found out about the time. As of today, it is April 1997. Lon remembered that in April of 1997, an interesting thing happened at the Heavens Arena. The Battle Olympia is the highest level fighting festival that all fighters pay the most attention to. Every time it is held, it attracts widespread attention from all over the world. Almost all television programs and entertainment programs in the 6 continents will serve as a backdrop to this fighting tournament. This will be an unprecedented focus for the whole world. Lon had no interest in this fighting tournament. Those who participated in the competition were all masters in the eyes of ordinary people. But in fact, they were just a bunch of losers. The real masters are either at the top of V5 or in the Hunter Association, or like the Zoldyck family, who openly engage in the assassination business and survive by relying on its powerful strength, and no one dares to provoke it. In Lan's opinion, these so-called masters brought up by the Heavens Arena may not be as good as the Shadow Beasts under the command of the 10 Mafia Dons. Or maybe they're slightly stronger. After all, even Zushi, who had studied for less than 2 years, participated in the competition. Therefore, the fight seemed intense and exciting to the layman. But to real experts, it looks like children playing house, and they are very disdainful. And Neon Nostrade was extremely excited about this kind of event. After begging her father for a long time, Light Nostrade finally had to agree. Originally, he didn't want Neon to go out so casually. It was a critical moment when their Nostrade family was about to take off, and he didn't want any accidents to happen. But after Lon said he would protect the young lady's safety, Light Nostrade thought about it for a long time before agreeing. Neon's safety is in your hands. He gave this instruction to Lon solemnly. Don't worry, boss. Lon nodded calmly. Nothing will happen to the young lady before I fall. After going through some things together, Light Nostrade, who still trusted Lan's ability, didn't say anything more. Here's your ID and cell phone. My number is stored there. You can contact me anytime. After preparing everything for Lon, Light Nostrade left these words and went to recruit maids again. Neon still needs someone to take care of her when she goes out. And after all, she's a woman, so she still needs some maids when she goes out. With Light Nostrade's influence in the local area, it was not difficult to recruit some maids soon, after some review and screening, as well as Neon's own careful selection. She chose two maids, one of whom had long burgundy hair and was named Eliza. And it was just 2 days after these two maids were hired. Are you still hiring here? A tall man who looked like an African Indian tribe rubbed his hands, looking a little nervous and embarrassed, facing the old butler in the villa. At his feet were dogs of various breeds, some lying on the ground, some wagging their tails and sticking out their tongues. Sorry, we don't need a trainer here. The old butler Kaharaba took one look at the dogs and politely refused. No, you may have misunderstood. I'm not here to apply for the position of dog trainer. The man waved his hands quickly. My name is Squala. I heard that you needed bodyguards here, so I came here to apply for the job. Said what? Seeing that he didn't look like a good person, the old butler Kaharaba narrowed his eyes and asked, Where did you hear that? Squala's nun ability. Dog manipulation type. Introduction. Squala can manipulate dogs. He takes complete care of them in exchange for their services. They can work as guard dogs, run errands, or go on spy missions. They can even partake in complex conversations, using their barks in a similar manner to Morse code. He can also have them open doors, push carts, and smell his food for poisons. Chapter 12. The second bodyguard team member, I. Squala hesitated and was unable to speak. The more he acted like this, the more suspicious the old butler found him. Just when he was thinking about driving away the sneaky man in front of him. Leave the bodyguard matters to me. Hearing the sound, Lon came out of the house and took a look at the familiar man who raised a dog. I see. The old butler bowed slightly, then turned around and left without any hesitation. The boss has already made arrangements for the bodyguard team and has handed over full responsibility to the new leader. As long as he comes forward, there is no need for him to say anything more. You want to join the bodyguard team, right? Lon looked up and down at Squala, the most famous man who set a death flag for wanting to get married after completing the job. Yes. Squala swallowed nervously. That person was obviously the old butler in the villa, but after this young man showed up, he left without saying anything extra or asking any questions. It's obvious that he is a man with considerable power in this family. Even though the man in front of him was very young, Squala did not dare to be careless at all. Even though he has awakened and mastered some special powers, he is still very nervous. This man is definitely not an ordinary person. Feeling the hidden danger coming from Lon, Squala swallowed again. He now regrets being so impulsive. But when he thought about his girlfriend Eliza becoming a maid here, and he had so many dogs to raise, such a small expense, he could only grit his teeth and straighten his back. I really want to apply for a job here. Lon pointed behind him and said, You brought so many dogs with you? These are my family members, and they're also part of my ability. When he mentioned these dogs, Squala became excited and said quickly, They will help me with the guarding work. Besides, for such a large yard, isn't it most appropriate to raise dogs to guard the house? He used up all his eloquence. As long as you hire me, I promise that I will guard the entire house like an iron barrel so that not even a fly can't fly in. That's fine. Lon nodded immediately after hearing this. If there's a fly in the room, it will be considered that you have failed in your duty as a guard. Squala. Squala visibly choked and stood there in a daze. This was different from what he had imagined. Sure enough, it's just that the nun ability was activated by chance, and his physical fitness and psychological endurance are not up to par. While Squala was in a daze, Lon made a judgment based on his expression. Squala must have activated his nun ability by accident. This kind of situation does exist in this world. In addition to being systematically taught and trained and being forced to open one's own aura nodes by strong blows, there are other ways to awaken Nin's abilities. Some are like Neon Nostrade, who is naturally gifted and has awakened her nun ability. Some are like some artists whose works still retain traces of nun. Most likely, Squala was stimulated by something while interacting with dogs and accidentally became a nun user. Therefore, his subsequent nun ability is also related to dogs. Moreover, he looked quite embarrassed when facing Yuvijin, who was slaughtering mafias in the field. He is just an ordinary person who accidentally gains nun's ability and becomes a little stronger. Although his nun ability is lacking, his character is certainly there. Lon rubbed his chin slightly. Squala is still quite loyal. When questioned about the deaths of the Phantom Troop members, he did not say anything about Karapika. He also values his companions more and cherishes his dogs and his girlfriend, Eliza, even more. When they flee, he always takes his dogs with them. And in the face of Nobunaga's threat, the dogs were evacuated first. Then, for the sake of his girlfriend, he shouted at Nobunaga despite the threat of death. Then his head was chopped off. Well, it was a heroic and miserable death, but it was not worth it. He is a bodyguard and has strong professional ethics. When being chased, he did not forget to take the auction items bought by the eldest daughter of the Nostrade family. It can be said that he is a pretty good subordinate who can be used. Okay, I was just joking. You're a good person because you can make so many dogs follow you and take good care of them. Lon waved his hand and told him directly, if you want to be a bodyguard here, go to the old butler to discuss the salary. I agree with this. You can negotiate the rest of the treatment yourself. But you have to think about it. Lon glanced at Squala, whose face showed obvious surprise. This line of work is not so easy, especially for the bodyguards of the mafia families, not to mention the dangers. There's also the workload, which is usually very tiring. I can do it. Squala nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I can do anything. In this way, the second member of the bodyguard team officially joined. Chapter 13. Is it too late for me to quit now? The team is no longer empty, and Lon is no longer a lone commander. With Lan's nod of agreement, Light Nostrade naturally trusted him. With a wave of his hand, he not only hired Squala but also took in all the dogs he raised. Just when Squala felt that a surprise came too suddenly. From now on, he could bring his dogs to work and see his girlfriend every day. There is no better time in life than now. He then realized that accidents often also come so suddenly. You're going to the Republic of Padokia? While Squala was still dreaming of living under the same roof with his girlfriend, he was suddenly struck by a bolt from the blue. Well, the young lady is going there for 2 days. Lon looked at Squala, who was standing there stiffly, and assigned him a task. At that time, the young lady and her maid will go, and the boss will also go to the higher-ups to report on his work. You're the only one left here to guard the place. Remember to bring your dogs with you, and do a good job guarding the house. Because when the boss brought me back, we killed a leader of a mafia family. We were not sure if they would come here for revenge, so Lon said sincerely, if that happens, you have to be careful. Squala, why do I feel like I joined at such a bad and dangerous time? Is it too late for me to quit now? By the way, in order for you to better protect the house and survive the revenge from the mafias that may come, I got something for you. Lon threw a notebook at Squala, whose face was gradually turning pale and almost covered his dark skin. The latter immediately stiffened and took it in a panic. It contained some basic knowledge and training techniques about Nun's ability. You should read it carefully and practice more. Lon turned around and waved at him. That's the best way to improve your strength as soon as possible. I don't want the little brother I worked so hard to recruit to be gone when we come back. Nun ability? Squala looked confused and bewildered, but he vaguely understood what Lon meant. Is this the strange power I suddenly gained? Squala wanted to ask more questions, but Lon ignored him and walked away in the blink of an eye. Improve yourself. Squala looked at the notebook in his hand, looking like he wanted to cry, but couldn't. What the hell is this? Originally, he joined here just to raise a dog, meet his girlfriend, and then live a down-to-earth life. As a result, he was caught up in the danger of the mafia's fight and revenge. The string of death is always hanging over his head. His life may be lost in the next second. How can this be possible? When he thought of the consequence, Squala shuddered all over. I finally got to live under the same roof with these cute kids and Eliza. How can I ruin our beautiful life like this? Squala gritted his teeth, steeled himself, and opened the notebook in his hand. On the other side, on the airship heading to the Republic of Padokia. Won't Dad go with us? Neon seemed a little disappointed that she didn't see her father going to the Battle Olympia with her. The boss is busy with work and can't come with us this time. Lon explained. In Meteor City, he killed Ken Porter, who was under the same Ritz family as Light Nostrade. They are all heads of mafia families. Their deaths can't be in vain, and there must be an explanation. Light Nostrade went to the Ritz family to explain everything. Strictly speaking, this is also to cover up for Lan's behavior. However, the fact that there is one less strong enemy is a good thing for the Nostrade family. Don't worry, Lan, we will be fine this time. Light Nostrade has a generous and magnanimous face and is very particular about his righteous appearance. No matter what happens, I will be here. These words were said quite beautifully, making people feel that he, as the boss, had to take responsibility for everything. If an ordinary person is uninformed, he might be moved by Light Nostrade's words and work for him. But Lan knew that before saying this, he went to Neon and asked her for a prophecy. Although Lan didn't know the specific content, he saw Light Nostrade's smiling face. He knows that this trip may be very smooth. Really, it's like this every time. Neon pouted again. He said he would play and go shopping with me, but he turned around and left me behind for work. She spoke with a bit of loss and then looked up at Lan. She found that the latter was concentrating on reading the book introduction about the Heaven's Arena in his hand and ignored her completely. Suddenly, she felt angry. I'm so sad. She could only lean on her maid, Eliza, and complain. Eliza stroked Neon's hair and comforted her softly, although she had just been hired and came to the side of this young lady. But the fate between people is wonderful, and the relationship between the two people is very good. However, while Eliza was comforting Neon, she couldn't help but worry about Squala. She doesn't know how he is doing now. Well, if Lan knew about this, he would definitely put her mind at ease. With the threat of death hanging over his head, that kid will definitely study harder instead of just studying at a half-baked level like before. Chapter 14. Battle Olympia. The notebook that Lan gave to Squala contains the following records. It is about some basic concepts and common sense of Nun's abilities. For example, the meaning of Nun ability, how to control aura, how to train Nun ability, how to determine your own type, and the basic 4 major principles, etc. He didn't ask for him to learn that much, but at least he shouldn't be as miserable as before and not die in vain. After all, he is his first underlings, so at least he can save face by treating him well. It's just some basic knowledge about Nun, so let him learn it well. As for those that are too advanced, let's not talk about whether Squala can learn them or whether he has the talent for it. The key is that Lan himself doesn't even grasp it. Even if he knows the many methods and theories of the muscle-ageless goddess with super realgar hair and full teaching ability, it's not of much use. Theory is just theory, after all, and is far inferior to practice. The practice of Nun is not something that can be simply said. It is a very delicate process. If there is any mistake in the process, it is easy to take a detour and disrupt your training. You still need a specialist to guide you. There is no way. After all, Lan is just a poor fruit with a strength evaluation index of only 5. Not even green in Hisoka's eyes. Boom! The airship broke through the clouds, and its roar shook the air. The vague outline of the Heaven's Arena, the world's 4th largest building located in the Republic of Padokia, has already appeared before their eyes. Heaven's Arena is a paradise for fighting fans. The entire building has 251 floors and is 991 meters tall. The entire tower is almost entirely a fighting arena. Of course, there's also a small area for resting, a waiting area, a consumption area, etc. And most importantly, there are restrooms for players above the 100th floor, as well as the floor areas of each floor master. The entire Heaven's Arena until the 200th floor is divided into 10 levels, and only the victors can advance to the next level. According to official statistics, there are more than 1 billion visitors from all over the world every year, and more than 4,000 challengers line up at the registration desk every day. The airship sailed into the Heaven's Arena's dedicated reception and parking area. As Lan introduced them, he took Neon off the airship. In the first 100 floors, especially when you first sign up, all contestants must test their strength on the first floor. So the first floor is full of arenas. The referee in charge will decide which floor each contestant should be sent to based on their performance within 3 minutes. Naturally, the better your ability and the stronger your performance, the higher the floor you will be assigned to. And when you reach the 100th floor, you can have your own private room. But if you lose the battle and fall below the 100th floor, your room will be taken back. Neon Nostrade couldn't stop nodding. A pair of dark green pupils moved back and forth, as if wanting to take in all the scenery in front of her. It was extremely lively, with fighters and martial artists from all over the world gathering here. In this airport, there are many people like them who come here specifically from various regions of the 6 continents, getting ready to watch this year's Battle Olympia competition. Many people gathered together, making the docking area bustling with activity. That's amazing. At this moment, Neon Nostrade was not at all disappointed that her father could not be present. Instead, she watched everything in front of her with great interest. I heard that there are other benefits after the 200th floor. Is this true? She asked excitedly like a curious baby. Well, all the fighters who advance to the 200th floor will be assigned luxurious rooms. Lon nodded. However, those who have reached the 200th floor are undoubtedly all powerful and capable people. It will become increasingly difficult to advance to the next level. On this level, you only need to win 10 games. But if you lose 4 games before winning 10, you will lose the qualification to stay here any longer. And if you can win 10 games, you can challenge the floor master of this floor. If you win, you will monopolize the floor and become the new master, enjoying fame and a worry-free life. Lon flipped through the Heavens Arena book in his hand and read. Now, each floor from the 230th to the 250th floor is owned by a floor master. If the masters of this floor want to compete and win the highest honor in the Heavens Arena, then they must participate in the Heavens Arena Fighting Feast, the Battle Olympia competition. If you win, you can move into the top floor, the 251st floor, which is a symbol of honor. He closed the book in his hand with a snap. The detailed information of each poster is available for sale at the Heavens Arena. After all, this event needs to be well promoted. Otherwise, the audience won't be interested if they don't understand it. Miss, do you want the information of these contestants? I can buy it for you. None of that matters. Neon Nostrade interrupted Lon with an excited look on her face. I just want to know when the Battle Olympia will begin. This may take 2 days. Lon looked at the explanation notice near the docking area and read it to her. Currently, the Hunter Association's representatives have not arrived yet, and some spectators are on their way. There's still a few days until the official competition begins. How many days left? Neon's originally excited expression suddenly became more restrained, but she quickly cheered up again. Before the Battle Olympia, are there any other fighting events? Let's go check that out. Well, there really is. Lan's gaze unconsciously rested on a promotional poster for the event next to him. One of the protagonists on the poster is a man wearing clown makeup and holding playing cards. A man with burgundy hair and a clown-like smile. Chapter 15. Hisoka and Castro's Fight the Battle Olympia is a grand event in the Heavens Arena. The atmosphere inside the Heavens Arena needs to be preheated to welcome the arrival of this grand event. Nothing is more suitable for warming up than an exciting game that people look forward to watching. Today's fighting match is a battle between the two that reaches 200 floors. Both sides of the competition are extremely popular players in the Heavens Arena. One of them is a super dazzling newcomer who has won all the way from the bottom to the 200th floor. The other one was dubbed the Amazing Magician, and any opponent could be manipulated by him. A veteran strongman on the 200th floor of the Heavens Arena, known for his elusiveness and mysteriousness. The names of these two people are Hisoka. Are you fighting with Castro? In the heated audience seats, Lon looked at 2 familiar figures standing on the stage under the spotlight. A man was wearing a yellow training jacket, and his silver-white hair fell over his shoulders like a waterfall. He was full of vigor and high spirits, looking at his opponent in front of him with burning eyes. Opposite him was a man with teardrop and star-shaped makeup on his face and burgundy hair standing up wantonly. He squinted his eyes and looked at him casually. He has a charming and sexy appearance, a tall figure, well-proportioned muscles, a slim waist, and long legs. At first glance, he looks like a handsome man who knows how to dress well. However, the clothes he wore with playing card patterns made him seem a little mysterious and hard to understand. The two sides in the arena are the newcomer, Castro, who just reached the 200th floor, and Hisoka, who already has a great reputation in the Heavens Arena. This is also a crucial battle. In the end, Hisoka won the battle, but Castro also used his talent and strength to win Hisoka's appreciation and was baptized by Hisoka. After losing to Hisoka, he relied on his talent and exploration of none to win consecutive games and practice hard for 2 years with the goal of defeating Hisoka. But unfortunately, he still failed to win when he challenged Hisoka later. Lon looked at the field and thought silently as he saw the two people entering into a fighting state after the referee announced the start of the fight. There is no doubt about Castro's talent. He definitely has one of the strongest talents in the world. This can be clearly seen from the outcome of this battle. Let us congratulate Hisoka for another win. The battle ended quickly. Castro, who had not yet opened his aura nodes and learned about none, was no match for Hisoka. In front of him, he was completely defeated. But even though he was defeated, he still got 3 points from Hisoka. What is this concept? Gon, who has studied with Wing for a period of time and knows Hisoka better, has also fought with him through various battles of wits and courage. He only got 2 points from Hisoka. Don't say that Hisoka is just appreciative of Gon and isn't serious about him. When facing Castro, Hisoka also does not kill him, but baptizes him instead. The fact that Castro was noticed by someone like Hisoka shows how talented he is. Later, he relied on his own talent and explored on his own to practice wildly for 2 years. Killua, a top genius killer from a killer family, was unable to detect any of his traces. Even when Hisoka fought him, he had both his hands cut off. If Castro had not been careless and had aimed directly at Hisoka's head, then maybe there will be a different result. Is this the end? While these thoughts were emerging in Lan's mind, Neon No strayed. Next to him was still unsatisfied. It looks really good. It's different from what I saw on TV. Both of them are so handsome. Her eyes were fluttering. You mainly look at their face, right? Lon complained in his heart and then arranged for someone to send Neon to the hotel where she was staying to rest. Are you going to do something? Neon, who had sensed something, asked in confusion before leaving. Well, I have something to do. Lon nodded and looked up at the center of the venue. I'll be back soon. As early as when Hisoka and Castro were fighting, the blind boxes emitting red light on the field had already flashed and attracted Lan's attention. Rare-level blind boxes appeared in front of him the first time. It appeared in the first battle between Hisoka and Castro, which played a very important role in the development of the subsequent plot. On the ring, Hisoka's slender white arm gently brushed over the injuries on his body, and the wound on his arm was brought to his mouth and was licked gently by him. It's rare to see such a promising fruit. I hope that your taste in the future will be worthy of my expectations for you. Looking at Castro, who was injured and lying on the ground, falling into a coma with a little aura lingering from his body. A seductive smile appeared on Hisoka's face. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips gently, then twisted his seductive body and walked towards the contestant passage not far away. At the same time, on the field, quick! Contact the logistics team and clean up the damaged areas on the field. And the medical team, send Mr. Castro for treatment. After a game is over, there will naturally be corresponding logistics personnel to sort out and clean up everything after the game. Heaven Arena already has a fairly complete system for dealing with this aspect. Calculate the losses in this battle. Wait, what do you think you're doing here? The logistics personnel in charge of command was issuing orders when he saw a stranger's face appear beside him. Chapter 16, Rare Level Blind Box. Friend, Lon suddenly broke in, stretched out his hand, pointed at Castro lying on the ground, and said calmly, Friend? When Mr. Castro registered, he didn't fill in any in the contact column. The logistics staff said with some caution. He waved his hand, and immediately, many security personnel gathered around. The fighter was in an injured state after being defeated. In the past, there have been cases where enemies of contestants specifically chose this time to seek revenge. Although they were subsequently severely sanctioned by the Heavens Arena, such incidents basically did happen. So, necessary protective measures must still be taken. He just met me these past 2 days. Lon spread his hands and said, If you don't believe me, I can wait until you send him to a safe place and then come and find him." After saying this, he deliberately took a step back to show that he had no ill intentions. The logistics staff saw that the situation had eased a lot, but they were still wary and sent someone to send Castro out. Now, they have to make sure that Castro doesn't have any accidents. But what happens after he goes out for treatment will have nothing to do with them. Lon also calmly looked at the backs of a group of people leaving. The main purpose of his presence had been achieved. Get a rare level blind box. Do you want to open it? Open successfully. Get a bag of Sins of Bean. Source World. Dragon Ball. Is this from Dragon Ball? A whole bag of Sins of Beans. Lon shook his hand, and a gray, ordinary-looking bag appeared in his hand. It was bulging and full of things. Even the bag is designed like in the Dragon Ball. After weighing the weight and roughly estimating the number of Sins of Beans in the gray bag, he couldn't help but smile. If nothing unexpected happens, these Sins of Beans will be enough for me to finish all the plots, right? Although Togashi is still serializing without any updates, and he's also inserting the past of the Phantom Troop, the Dark Continent chapter is nowhere to be seen. Lon opened the bag, picked out a bean from the bag, and examined it carefully in his hand. Sins of Bean, just one pill will keep you from feeling hungry for 10 days, and it has a very strong recovery power. As long as the person is not dead, it can instantly restore physical strength and energy, even in extreme fatigue, and readjust the body to the best condition. The overall color of the fairy bean is green and petal-shaped, and it is very similar to normal beans in both size and shape. Apart from the advantage of having extremely strong recovery power, it has two disadvantages. One is that the yield is low, the annual output value is not high, and the time cost of cultivation is extremely high, and only a few could be grown a year. When Sins of Beans first appeared in Corinne Tower, they were counted by jars, a full jar, which is Corinne's accumulatio for hundreds of years. However, due to Yajirobe's extravagance, it was difficult to collect even a small bag by the time of the Dragon Ball saga. The quantity is so rare that it can only be counted by grain. However, with the full bag in Lan's hand, he didn't need to worry about the quantity. Unfortunately, it can only heal external injuries, but still has no effect on diseases. Lan somewhat regretted this second shortcoming. Sins of Beans can restore physical strength and treat external and internal injuries, but cannot cure other diseases. In the Android chapter, Goku was suffering from heart disease, but the Sins of Beans were powerless to cure it. As a result, Goku died of illness at a young age, but it's enough to have these effects. Lan was quite content. In this world, something that can instantly heal injuries and replenish physical strength is also a treasure worth 1,000 gold coins. If I'm going to sell it for money, I think I can get a lot. With a joke in his mind, Lan put away the beans. As soon as he arrived at the Heavens Arena, he got this rare level blind box. It also opened up this kind of life-saving stuff, and the harvest was quite rich. Just for this magic bean, this trip was not in vain. In the Mafia, we got firearms. In this competitive fighting arena, we got life-saving items to treat injuries. There is something to be said for what is given out when opening this blind box. In a good mood, Lan continued to walk out. What he wants this time is not just this blind box. Inside the Heavens Arena's hospital. Did I lose? Castro was lying on the hospital bed, staring blankly at the white ceiling. After a brief treatment, he woke up, but he would rather not wake up like this. It's really a complete defeat, he said self-deprecatingly, his voice sounding a little bitter. Hisoka really shattered his pride. The martial arts skills that he was so proud of were no match for Hisoka. He felt like a cat playing with a mouse, being easily toyed with and manipulated by Hisoka. Even Castro knew that the reason he survived was not because he was strong enough or lucky enough. Instead, Hisoka deliberately showed mercy and spared his life as a winner. This, for him, is the greatest shame. This is a lifelong shame for me. Despite the severe pain in his arms, Castro still tightly grasped the bed sheets. He overcame all the obstacles along the way and reached the 200th floor in high spirits. Then he goes and challenges those strong ones with high spirits. But reality gave him a heavy blow. Not only did he lose so badly, but he was spared from death as if by charity, and he was as miserable as a stray dog. But I still have another chance. Feeling the new power surging in his body, a gleam of light flashed in Castro's eyes. Chapter 17. Are you interested in seeing the wider world? After waking up, Castro also realized that his body had gained a strange new power. This power is much stronger than any martial arts he has learned before. Even though his body was covered in wounds, he still felt this surge of amazing energy. It seems to be the purest power coming from life itself, constantly healing his body and making him recover from his injuries. Is it because of this power that his Soka is so powerful and can survive in heaven's arena? Castro looked at his hands and muttered. He seemed to have vaguely grasped the tip of the iceberg of this world. The word survive may not be the right word. This place is just his Soka's playground. Suddenly, a faint voice came from his side. Boo! Castro's body tensed up instantly. He had no idea that someone was there. Who are you? When he looked in the direction where the sound came from, he saw a man in a black suit standing there. Being in a dark corner and wearing all black, he looked quite creepy in the current environment. However, Castro did not care about this. Instead, he looked at the person who came with a burning gaze. In this person, he felt a surging force similar to that in his own body. My name is Lon, and I currently work for a mafia family. He pulled up a chair and sat down in a very familiar manner. Member of a mafia? Castro was no stranger to the mafias active in the 6 continents, especially the legendary 10 mafia dons among them. It turns out that even among the mafias, there are such masters. Only then did he realize that the world was not as simple and easy as he had imagined. You have great talent and strength. It's amazing that you can fight Hisoka to this extent. Lon folded his hands. Are you interested in seeing the wider world? Vida vert. Castro raised an eyebrow. This kind of power you possess? Well, you can call it none. Lon nodded slightly. Anyone who fights above the 200th floor of this heaven's arena has mastered the nun ability. Above 200 floors? Castro was somewhat surprised. No wonder there are floor masters and floors above 200 floors. Is that the case? So those floor masters are almond users as well. Castro knew how to draw inferences from one instance and tried to get more information. They are all very powerful masters, right? Master? Maybe. Lon chuckled and made no comment. However, Castro saw deep disdain in his behavior. He's so disdainful of those guys that he doesn't even bother to give any comments. This made Castro think deeply. It seems that in this world of nun users, there are corresponding distinctions between strong and weak. The man in front of him, if I want to see it, Castro said in a deep voice, then what is the price? The whole new worldview was slowly unfolding before him, and even more magical and powerful forces were beckoning him. He had no reason to refuse to enter such a world. It's simple. I'm currently short of people. Sometimes I have to do things and can't spare the time, so I need someone to take care of them. Lon folded his hands and chuckled. Just help me for a few years. Don't worry. The workload won't be too intense, and I promise that you won't lose anything. Help out for a few years. After hearing this, Castro frowned slightly. Are you asking me to join a mafia? It's not like joining a mafia. It's just an employer-employee relationship. Lon found a vivid analogy. Just like the contract hunters in the Hunter Association, they will just complete the requirements of their employers and do not join any specific forces. After he said that, Castro's brows relaxed a little, and he was able to accept a lot of it in his heart. After all, simple contract employment and directly joining the mafia are two different concepts. Castro's goal has always been to make a difference in the world of martial arts. Can you give me everything I want? Castro still didn't quite believe it. There are so many opportunities in the heavens arena, or I can rely on my own abilities to find them. Click. Before Castro could finish his words, a notebook hit him in the face. He raised his hand to take it, and the words "for major principles" flashed before his eyes. If there were really so many opportunities in the heavens arena, there wouldn't be so many people like you who overestimate themselves. You don't even have any common sense or preparation, and you just go to the 200th floor to fight head-on, Lon said calmly. As for you wanting to find it yourself, I'm sorry, but I'm not questioning your ability. The world of nun users is not the same as the world of ordinary people. You have never been exposed to the world of nun users in the past few years. Now you want to find it. You can imagine how difficult it is. Let's take a step back and say, even if you can find a circle of people with nun ability, are you sure you can get what you want from them? That world is more dangerous and unpredictable than the underworld I am in now. Are you sure that you can grow in the best possible way in such an environment? Chapter 18. The shock brought by Senza beans. Castro was silent. In fact, he had considered all that Lon said. He himself wanted to practice martial arts, but practicing it is more difficult than most people imagine. He wonders how much hardship and sweat he has put into getting here. Compared to martial arts, the world of so-called nin ability is even more mysterious and unpredictable, and it is definitely not that simple. But anyone would have doubts about trusting a guy who suddenly appeared, not to mention that he is from the mafia. Don't worry. While you're working, you won't lose any of the salary you deserve. Lon snapped his fingers, and a small green bean flew towards Castro. And if you join us, you could get good stuff like this. This is my gift to you for free. Lon leaned back slightly and said with a smile, "This is just a simple way to express my sincerity." Gift? Bean. Castro looked at what he had in his hand. It looked normal in every way, just like an ordinary bean, making him a little puzzled. No matter how much you talk about it, it's far less real than experiencing it in person. Lon raised his chin towards him and said, "You can eat it and feel it. Of course, if you still want to be wary and distrustful of me, you can return the bean and the notebook to me, and I will turn around and leave without saying anything." Lon shrugged. "It's up to you to choose." A mysterious person of unknown origin, suspected to be from the dark world of mafias, took out a strange bean. According to normal people's thinking, it is never too much to be vigilant. Children are also told not to eat anything given by strangers. But for Castro, do I want to experience it for myself? Thinking about how badly he was beaten by Hisoka in the ring, he felt so humiliated and embarrassed. He clenched his other hand tightly. "I don't want to go through this again." Castro's eyes became more determined. "Even if this is a drug from the devil, as long as it can make me stronger and defeat Hisoka." He resolutely threw the Senza beans in his hand into his mouth. "I'll take it." Seeing Castro's performance, the corners of Lan's mouth curled up slightly. It's an enhancement type, after all. He smiled in his heart. According to Hisoka's classification of the personalities of nun users in each category, most of the enhancement type characters are relatively simple-minded and do not have so many schemes. Such people's judgments and actions are basically pure, and they trust their intuition without giving it too much thought. At this time, Castro is performing at his best. Crunch, crunch. The Senza beans make crisp sounds when chewed in the mouth. He just doesn't know if this crunchy texture tastes like chicken. Gurgle. When Castro swallowed the Senza bean, his eyes instantly widened to their maximum size. Castro looked at his hands in shock. The many wounds on it that were originally cut by Hisoka's playing cards were all healed in an instant. And it wasn't just his hands. The body was also filled with injuries, fatigue, pain, and hidden injuries accumulated from so many previous battles. At this moment, everything was perfectly healed. It's not just the pain, but also one's own physical strength. Originally, after a great battle, his body functions and condition were in a relatively poor state of recovery. But now, Castro felt that he was better than ever before. This is called Senza beans. It can heal all kinds of injuries and restore the body's condition to its best. Looking at Castro's look of disbelief, Lon chuckled and gave a brief explanation. "And this is my sincerity, something that can instantly heal a person's body and replenish their strength." Is sincerity like this? After Castro came back to his senses from his shock, he fell into silence for a long time. As a martial artist who has fought many times, he knows what effect this kind of thing have and what it means in a battle. He knew it all too well. Lon was not in a hurry and just waited for him when he fell into a momentary silence. After a while, "You asked me to help you for a few years." Castro's voice was a little hoarse. "What exactly are you doing? And how many years do you need help?" "It's settled. Don't worry. I won't let you do anything immoral, such as burning looting, or bullying the weak. Lon retreated tactically. Although we are a mafia, we have long since gotten rid of such vulgar interests. He smiled and said, "What's the point of targeting people who are weaker than you? They're just thugs and trash. What we want to do is something more fulfilling." When Castro asked this question, he actually already had the answer in his mind. The subsequent words that Lon said to him were just to give him a reason to accept the promise and get over the hurdle in his heart. After all, it doesn't matter whether Lon can really bring him everything he wants. If he can get something like Sins of Beans, it will definitely be worth it. Therefore, Castro chose to nod and agree. In addition to obtaining a rare-level blind box and a life-saving item, Sins of Beans, he also gathered another pretty good subordinate. However, when he brought Castro to Neon Nostrade and others. Chapter 19. I hate you. You mean? Neon Nostrade stared at Lon with eyes wide open and asked in disbelief. You just went out for a while, and you recruited the contestant who was fighting in the ring just now. Strictly speaking, he was moved by the mafia's moral spirit I conveyed and voluntarily came to join our family. Lon corrected seriously. Neon Nostrade. What is the so-called mafia's moral spirit? Where's the mafia's moral spirit? Humph, don't think I can't see it. You just say these things to fool me, because I'm young. But you actually let this pretty boy join our family? In Neon Nostrade's two bright, big eyes, there was nothing else except the reflection of Castro's face. What a perfunctory and deceptive attitude. What is moral and immoral? As long as he can pull such a good-looking and pleasing to the eye, powerful martial artist who has fought his way to over the 200th floor of the Heavens Arena here, pull him to her side, that would be enough. Neon Nostrade screamed in her heart. Castro felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Neon Nostrade. This kind of performance seems to be different from the cruel and cold-blooded mafia lady he imagined who kills people without any reason. Put away your crazy attitude. Seeing this, Lon knocked on Neon Nostrade's little head with his knuckles. Don't scare people away. It hurts. Neon Nostrade immediately hugged her little head. She puffed up her cheeks and glared at Lon like a fierce and unconvinced hamster. When the maids, such as Eliza, saw what Lon did, they also stood aside and lowered their heads. The authority level of the bodyguards is much higher than that of these servants. Outside, the other party can be fully responsible for everything about them. They have no say in front of Lon. Not to mention, it involves the young lady. I'm just expressing my happiness. Seeing that Lon started to rub his wrist again, Neon Nostrade immediately restrained her expression. She could only grumble and complain quietly there. Before the next Battle Olympia begins, Miss, you must tell me all your plans. Ignoring her grumbling and nagging, Lon gave the order directly. You can only do it if I agree. I protest. Neon Nostrade was immediately annoyed. You are restricting my personal freedom. What's the difference between that and imprisoning me? This is not my home. Moreover, during the Battle of Olympia, there are all kinds of dangerous people. For the sake of the young lady's safety, of course, we have to raise the level of protection to the highest level. What if I decide to make the decision myself? Neon Nostrade's face turned red, and she puffed up her cheeks. Then I can only report the relevant situation to the boss. Lon crossed his arms and said, but when the time comes, I will use my personal authority and force the entire team to return. As long as you return home safely, everything will be fine. As for after that, whether you want to report me to the boss or not, whether the boss will fire me or not, that's all the boss's business. He continues calmly, I fully accept any decision made by my boss, even if it means firing me. Well, anyway, Light Nostrade has already issued him an identity certificate. If he really gets fired, the worst that can happen is he can just find another employer. How could you do this? Seeing Land's domineering look and his refusal to give in, Neon Nostrade's eyes instantly turned red. Every one of them uses the excuse of doing something good for me, not allowing me to do this or that. My father doesn't come to accompany me, and even you want to restrict me. What's the difference between this and being in prison? The more she spoke, the more aggrieved she felt, and tears uncontrollably flowed from her eyes. You are all bad people. I hate you, Woo. At the end of the speech, Neon Nostrade burst into tears. The plaintive crying sound was so heartbreaking that it made anyone cry. Miss Eliza's two maids couldn't bear to see this and wanted to go up and comfort her. However, a line of sight shot over and made them freeze in place instantly. That Castro couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he saw this and wanted to say something. However, when Lan's calm gaze swept over him, he silently stopped talking. Seeing that no one around her came to comfort her, Neon Nostrade couldn't help but cry even louder. She's also even more sad and angry. I hate you guys, I hate you. She rolled over on the bed. However, no matter how she cried or made a fuss, Lon remained indifferent. This is just the beginning. Lon silently watched Neon Nostrade thrashing about on the bed. This is the first time they have been together as a team, so they must make sure that they have a good position as the person in charge from now on. Is it the eldest lady, Neon Nostrade, or the leader of bodyguard, Lon? When it comes to establishing his dominant position, Lon will not make any concessions. Otherwise, if Neon comes out next time, it will easily end up like the original version. While shopping in the mall, she ran out and met Krallo. As a result, the other party steals her nun's ability. All he can say is that she brought it all to herself. Chapter 20. Beans and beyond Netero Lon would not indulge her willfulness. No matter how much she cried, made a fuss, or shouted at the top of her lungs, Lon would not let her go. Neon Nostrade seemed to realize this as well, and sadness flooded her mind. Until a moment later, gradually, the noise on the bed stopped. Are you tired of crying? Lon took a look, then nodded to Eliza and the others. Watch the young lady closely. If she wants to continue making trouble after coming here, let her do it. He looked at Castro. You will protect her safety during this time. Castro was stunned when he was called. He subconsciously looked at Neon Nostrade, the two helpless maids, and then looked at Lon. After confirming that the other party was not joking, Castro asked, Are you so confident in leaving them to me? I trust you. Lon patted him on the shoulder and walked out. And when he left, he did not forget to tell Eliza and the others, if the lady wants to call her boss, don't stop her. If she wants to go out, she can go to a regular place not far from here. After reporting to me and getting my approval, she can ask Castro to accompany her and protect her in further places. Well, this certainly can increase Neon's personal safety. Understood. Eliza and the others nodded quickly. Castro quietly watched Lan's departing back. Trust. He placed his hand on the spot where Lon had just taken the photo and murmured, It looks like the work has to start from now on. Sometimes, the relationship between men can be quickly strengthened through just a few words. At least, Castro felt that the unfamiliarity and estrangement between him and Lon had been reduced a lot. And Lon, who had handed Neon Nostrade and the others over to Castro, was able to free himself at this time. It's time to move on to the next important task. Walking out of the room, Lon looked at the information on the surrounding TV screens. Mr. Netero, the president of the Hunter Association, has arrived at the Heavens Arena. Netero's arrival means that at least rare blind box has come with him. How can he resist opening a blind box like this? The upper floors of Heaven's Arena, an outhouse of a special VIP reception room. That's all right. The short man in a suit and tie with a bean-shaped face finished sorting out the last piece of material in his hand and wiped the non-existent sweat beads on his face. He has no nose or ears, and no one really knows if he can sweat. Next, I need to prepare the president's opening speech for the Battle Olympia. Thinking about his next job, Mr. Beans couldn't help but sigh. As Netero's secretary, he knows his president's temperament very well, even if he really wrote him a speech for the opening ceremony. But given Netero's personality, he probably won't finish reading it all. At most, he would just pick out a few sentences, read them casually, and then end it. The president is really willful sometimes. Mr. Beans was complaining while working on his manuscript. Netero may be willful, but he still has to write the manuscript. At least he could read a few sentences according to the script. If he didn't have the script and just let him go, that would be even more troublesome. Even Mr. Beans was a little worried. In the future Battle Olympia, if Netero is given a manuscript and he does not even read it, that would be a real big problem, Mr. Beans was writing furiously there. Jingle bell. The dedicated phone on the desk rang at this time. Hello, what's up? He answered the phone with one hand and wrote the manuscript with the other. His work attitude was very dedicated. Mr. Beans, someone wants to see President Netero. The person on the other end of the phone reported. He said there is something very important that he wants to inform President Netero. Mr. Beans did not interrupt and continued to listen attentively. In their Hunter Association, there are relevant procedures for outsiders who want to meet with President Netero. If there wasn't some special reason, the operator on the other end of the phone wouldn't have called Beans specifically. The stranger said he had something important to discuss with Netero, and a professional operator also called him. That means the matter is indeed serious. The other party mentioned a name, saying that as long as they heard this name, President Netero and Mr. Beans would not sit idly by. The operator continued without pausing, beyond Netero. Mr. Beans's hand suddenly paused. He held the phone in front of him and stared at it carefully with his small eyes. Let him in. Okay. The operator also smelled something unusual from the feedback from Mr. Beans. On the other end of the phone, at the elevator entrance of the Heavens Arena. Please take this elevator. It will take you to the corresponding floor. After hanging up the call, the operator politely said to the young man in front of him, Thanks. Lon nodded politely and stepped into the elevator to the top floor. Wearing a suit, too? The operator, who was also dressed in a suit, looked at Lan's back and couldn't help but let his thoughts wander. Could he also be from a Hunter Association or some other force? First meeting with Netero. Mr. Beans also informed Netero of this situation. He mentioned Beyond. Could it be that he was sent by Mr. Beyond? Mr. Beans analyzed. No, based on my understanding of Beyond, if he wants to negotiate with me, he can just do it over the phone, on the top floor of the Heavens Arena, in a room that belongs exclusively to the president of the Hunter Association. Netero speaks while stroking his curved beard with one hand. Even if he has something embarrassing to say and can't contact me directly, he asks someone else to convey it on his behalf. Netero looked through the screen at the young figure in the elevator and said with a smile, but he definitely won't let his people come to see me so bluntly. Is that so? Mr. Beans thought for a moment. He is afraid that you, the president, will detain the people he sent, right? No. I won't detain anyone. Netero gently stroked his curved beard and laughed loudly. I just want to play a game with him and see what kind of guy Beyond chooses. Mr. Beans, as expected, he still can't understand how he and his son think and get along with each other. But one thing is certain. Netero flicked his sleeves and smiled. There is no relationship between this young man and Beyond. I'm a little curious about what he wants to do by using Beyond's name to come and see me. Beyond, full name Beyond Netero, he is the biological son of Isaac Netero, the current president of the Hunter Association. According to the name pronunciation in the Hunter world, the given name comes first and the surname comes last. Therefore, President Netero's real name should be Isaac. Netero is the respectful name given to him by outsiders. They only call him by his surname and not his given name. As the son of President Netero, Beyond is not in the Hunter Association. He also did not carry forward the Shinjin Ryu martial arts founded by President Netero and inherit his legacy. Instead, he was always thinking about heading to the Dark Continent. However, due to Netero's obstruction, he had to be trapped in these 6 continents. To this end, Beyond Netero chose to join forces with the Kaken Empire and even placed undercover agents in the Hunter Association. Vice Chairman Paris Dunhill is his spy in the Hunter Association, considering the special relationship between Beyond and President Netero. Lon came here to meet Netero under the other party's name. Of course, meeting Netero is not the most important thing. The most important thing is, ding, the elevator arrived at the highest floor, and the automatic door slowly opened. The first thing that caught Lan's eye was not the quaint environment of the room, but it's really unusually bright. The charm of the purple sheen emanating from the entire room made Lan's mouth curl up slightly. Purple light, special blind box. This is the blind box that belongs to Isaac Netero, the world's strongest hunter and the president of the Hunter Association. Even though he hasn't participated in any plot yet, Just by appearing, he already has a blind box of the highest level. You seem very happy. At this time, President Netero, who was sitting cross-legged in front of the coffee table, looked at Lon, who came in with his hands in his sleeves and a calm look. Anyone would be happy to meet the legendary Hunter Association's president. Lon walked in with a smile and subconsciously glanced at the special blind box next to Netero that was emitting purple light. Get a special blind box. Do you want to open it? Lon naturally chose no. In front of this old monster that has lived for more than 100 years, any slight change will not escape his eyes. Naturally, Lon chose to be on the safe side and put it away first. But even so, Netero still noticed something. Netero followed Lan's subconscious gaze and looked to the side. Is there anything here? He glanced at the empty place where the purple blind box was originally. Or, is there anything worth your attention? He turned his head, looked at Lon, and nodded slightly. Sure enough, there is no relationship between you and beyond. Besides, your main purpose of coming here isn't to see me, right? He didn't even add the word should. His tone was very firm, and it was obvious that he had seen something. Well, beyond is just an excuse to come and see you, President. There is no point in hiding in front of this old monster. My name is Lon. It's nice to meet you. Lon walked to the coffee table, sat down confidently, and nodded in acknowledgement. Lon? So you see me now? Netero's hooked beard shook slightly. What do you want from me? Originally, there was something. Lon answered honestly, but it's done now. Is that so? Netero nodded slightly. Then it looks like you're doing pretty well. It's all thanks to the president, Mr. Beans, who just walked into the room. This kind of conversation seems to be the usual communication between Vice Chairman Pariston and the president, although he was no longer surprised by Netero's eccentricity. But it was quite novel to see that there were other people who could follow President Netero's ideas and communicate calmly. Chapter 22. I have received your sincerity. I am curious. How do you know beyond? I'm afraid I'm not the only one who knows about this, right? Facing Netero's question, Lon shrugged. This kind of thing, as long as more than 2 people know it, is no longer a secret. Yeah, that's right. Netero thought about it and felt that it made sense. It's normal for that guy to leak some news. After all, they are young people, and they just can't hide things. Netero nodded as a matter of course. The man with a bean-faced face next to him seemed to be hesitant to speak, to say that he was a child when he was over 60 years old. Well, in front of the president, who was over 110 years old, he was indeed like a child. Then I am curious and would like to ask you. Netero stroked his beard and looked at Lon calmly. You even mentioned Beyond's name. What on earth do you want? Of course, if it's inconvenient to say, that's fine. I won't force you, he said, adopting a casual attitude. Lon glanced at the yellow dodgeball rolling out beside him. Well, if you don't say it, it's really nothing. But at most, he stays and plays a game with him. With this old naughty guy's personality, he can definitely do it. Fortunately, he had already made preparations in this regard. It's not inconvenient. Lon flipped his palm and took out a small green bean. It's just related to my personal ability. It's just a small gift, not a token of respect. He placed the Senzu beans on the table, smiled softly at Netero, and said, This is my apology for bothering the president. Netero looked at the Senzu beans on the table and examined them carefully. Could this be your relative? He suddenly turned his head and looked at Mr. Beans, who was also looking at him curiously. Mr. Beans? ? Although we are all green beans, there are still essential differences, right? He looked at his own president in silence. Fortunately, this kind of eccentric character was not the first time he had experienced it. These tiny beans. Netero picked up the Senzu beans between 2 fingers, closed one eye, and opened the other to examine them carefully. What is it for? For eating. Lon coughed lightly and said, Since they are beans, of course you can eat them. That's not necessarily true, Netero said without turning his head. You can't eat this bean next to me. Mr. Beans. Okay, you're coming for me, right? Mr. Beans wanted to cry, but shed no tears. He was the only one hurt in the world. If I can eat it, I don't know how it tastes. Or could this be a poison? Netero twisted the beans and glanced at Lon. My frail body cannot stand the torture. Are you kidding? If you're frail, then there will be no strong people in the world. President, you could take a bite first to taste it. Lon chuckled and said, once you taste it, you will understand. Is that so? Netero looked around and found nothing else, so he stuck out his tongue and licked it. Oh, it seems to be okay. Under Mr. Bean's and Land's speechless gazes, he laughed as if he had succeeded in playing a prank. Then he took a bite of the top of the senza bean. Crack. The taste is quite crisp. Netero chewed and commented, if we let the gourmet hunters in the association cook it, maybe... Netero's eyes narrowed slightly. Even his figure seemed to pause for a moment. He is currently the strongest fighter on the 6 continents, and his understanding and control over his own body are extremely detailed. He can easily feel even the slightest change. So, after taking a bite of the senza bean, wow, this is indeed a very good gift. Netero's hands were so fast that he hid the remaining half of the senza bean somewhere unknown before Lon could even see clearly. He stroked his curved beard with one hand and said to Lon with a grin, I have received your sincerity. That's good. Lon nodded slightly. It's normal for Netero to be very satisfied with the effects of the senza beans. For these powerful nun users, items like senza beans are the best life-saving talismans. In the circle among top nin users, it is real hard currency. The Battle Olympia is about to begin. President, you must have a lot of things to do here, so I won't bother you anymore. After saying that, Lon prepared to get up and leave. Wait a moment, Netero suddenly called out. He looked Lon up and down and suddenly laughed. Do you have any beans like those from the Bean Dome Man's relatives? Mr. Beans, Lon, I really don't have it on me now. Lon stretched out his hands helplessly. If you don't believe me, you can search it. Netero stroked his beard and said nothing. Chapter 50 in the end, Lon still didn't give out any extra senza beans. For things of this level, no matter how much you ask, there is no such thing. Netero did not force it, but instead asked Mr. Beans to send Lon out. What an interesting young man indeed, huh? Inside the room, the half-broken senza bean appeared again in Netero's palm. It's really interesting. How did he do that? He tried to turn his palm over. When Netero asked just now, he didn't really want to ask Lon for extra senza beans. Instead, he was more concerned about the process of Lon taking out the senza beans just now. There are no fluctuations in none, and the fluctuations in the amount of aura are very stable. Besides, his strength is not that strong, and his movements are rather crude. The process of Netero collecting the senza beans was actually a verification. He wanted to see if Lon could see clearly how he hid the senza beans, and through observation, he was able to confirm that Lon was not hiding his weakness, but really did not see it clearly. Then, the method by which Lon took out the senza beans, which he couldn't even see through, was worth pondering. Nun ability is a very magical power. Perhaps there is a mystery in it that I can't even see through. Netero smiled happily. I met another interesting young man. Who. Whether it is using Beyond's name to see him or taking out this magical bean. Netero had a hunch that this young man's future achievements would definitely be more than this. Even though he is still very weak now, he has endless potential. Grow up soon. He stood up and weighed the dodgeball at his feet. It would be boring if I were alone at the top of the world. Click. A thin old man was playing dodgeball alone in the office. At the same time, on the other side. Finally, I came out. After coming out of the elevator and waving goodbye to Mr. Beans, Lon walked on the street outside and slowly exhaled a breath. Meeting with Netero, the strongest man in the world, it would be a lie to say he wasn't nervous. Fortunately, this old man has the temper of a naughty boy, and his character is relatively just and law-abiding. This time, the journey of searching for the blind box was relatively safe. Then, it's time to take stock of what we have harvested. Lon found a secluded and safe place and couldn't help but smile as he looked at the blind box emitting purple light in the storage space. Come on, this is my first special blind box. Let me see what good stuff I can get. Get a special blind box. Do you want to open it? Open. Open successfully. Gain Master Rashi's century-long martial arts gains. Source World, Dragon Ball. Master Rashi's harvest from 100 years of martial arts. Before he had time to be happy, Lon quickly closed his eyes and carefully felt what he had gained this time. Master Rashi, the former #1 martial artist in the Dragon Ball universe, is known as the god of martial arts. The founder of the Kamizen-ryu martial arts school and the father of Kamehameha, a legendary martial artist known in the world as the strongest. On the surface, he is a lecherous, skinny old man who is powerless. But in fact, he is a muscular man who can even crush the moon. Even though his presence was later suppressed by scions like Son Goku one after another. But it still cannot conceal his brilliance. Master Roshi, who lived for more than 350 years, had accumulated so much in martial arts that it is impossible to describe it in words. At least, that's when Lon slowly took in the gains. Only then did he begin to realize how powerful it is. Lon slowly opened his eyes. Is this the spirit of the Kamizen-ryu? He looked at his hands and slowly clenched them into fists. Instantly, an astonishing aura instantly spread over his fist, not only in the hands, but also in the body. Lon could sense that within his body, there was an immense and powerful force surging. Among Master Rashi's 100 years of martial arts gains, the most important thing is naturally the results of his 100 years of practice. That is the practice of ki. If you carefully study the ki in Dragon Ball and the Urai in HxH, you will find that they have common characteristics. They are all pure life, energy, and can be used to fight enemies. Among them, Hatsu, release, is extremely similar to the energy waves in Dragon Ball. The two cultivation systems can be completely combined. The ki that Master Roshi had practiced for 100 years, at this moment, all turned into Lan's strength. In the world of HxH, what separates the strong is not only their innate abilities, but also their basic combat experience and qualities. The most intuitive thing is to see how strong the none are and how much one has. Please show some support in my Pat Rayon. Thank you. Chapter 24. A Century of Martial Arts. But this is not mine after all. Lon quietly felt the surging energy in his body. If I want to be able to use it as easily as my own arm, I still have to compress it a little more. The power that he gains can still be used by him. However, in this world dominated by the power of aura, it is difficult to maximize this power. Naturally, one still has to compress and refine these energies into one's own. Although the amount of aura extracted will be greatly reduced, it will become purer and of higher quality. Lon thought to himself, it will also become more handy and completely my own strength. He silently familiarized himself with the power in his body and did not forget to feel the other benefits. In addition to the vast amount of ki that Master Roshi has gained from martial arts over the past century, there are naturally all kinds of accomplishments that Master Roshi has achieved in martial arts over the past century, including but not limited to the practice methods of Kamizen-ryu, various martial arts techniques, experience in fighting against enemies, etc. The Kamizen-ryu is the summary of Master Roshi's martial arts practice. Just like the Shinjin-ryu school founded by President Netero himself, there are many martial arts training methods in this world, and the Shinjin-ryu is just one of them. Although Lon has not yet come into contact with this school of thought, from what he has perceived, the practice of the Kamizen-ryu school may not be worse than the Shinjin-ryu school. In this case, there is no need to find a master for myself. As Lon digested the knowledge and insights gained from Master Roshi's training, he felt that his future was bright. The practice of the Shinjin-ryu may require guidance, even for those who have passed the hunter test. But if it is Kamizen-ryu, Lon himself is the best teacher. No one understands Kamizen-ryu better than him. This is also a thoroughfare leading to the supreme power. As long as he continued to study, it is only a matter of time before he become the strongest. The Kamizen-ryu definitely has such strength and potential. This can be seen from the various martial arts techniques summarized by Master Roshi. Signature skills include Kamehameha, afterimage technique, drunken fist, thunder shock surprise, evil containment wave, etc. Every move and style can even be used with aura. With so many rich martial arts moves, Lon doesn't have to worry about how he will fight his enemies in the future. As for the experience and skills in fighting against the enemy, with more than 100 years of experience in fighting, what kind of opponents has Master Roshi not seen? The title of God of Martial Arts was not something he just called out. Instead, he relied on his extraordinary strength and fought his way through. These confrontational experiences have been of great benefit to Lon. As long as he learned some advanced application techniques of nin ability, such as Gyo, Shu, Kin, etc., he can also learn to combine them with the Kamizen Ryu style. Then, his strength will definitely rise to more than one level. It can be said that the special blind box opened this time, which really makes up for the biggest shortcoming that he urgently needs now. It made his strength take a qualitative leap. In this high-risk hunter world full of dangers, where life and death are unpredictable, only his own strong strength can give Lon some confidence. It can be said that this time's blind box is worthy of the name of special. It's not about how powerful or invincible it is. Instead, it gave Lon the power he needed most urgently and solved his difficulties. At least, let me stand in front of Netero again. This time, I should be able to see clearly how he hides the sins of beings. After reviewing the fruitful harvest this time, Lon felt extremely satisfied, to the extent that he was eager to try to find Netero to test the results. However, as soon as these thoughts came out, they were immediately extinguished by him. He is not like those guys in Dragon Ball who become conceited after gaining explosive power after fusion. After Isekai and his subordinate Kibito merged with the Patera, they gained huge power and expanded, and even thought about going to fight Buu with Son Goku. It would be strange if he didn't get beaten to a pulp. After opening the blind box this time, Lon also noticed a little pattern. Here in the Heavens Arena, all the things that are opened are related to the Dragon Balls. The blind box opened next to Netero, the world's #1 man, is related to Master Roshi, the #1 martial artist in Dragon Ball. That is to say, blind boxes still have some similarities. Blind boxes opened around some special people, and places may contain things and skills that are suitable for those people and places. Of course, this is just Lan's guess. As for blind boxes, it is precisely because of their unknown nature that they bring so many surprises to people. Bidi bidi bidi. Just as Lon was digesting and summarizing what he had gained this time, the phone in his arms rang. It was Light Nostrade calling. Snap. Boss. Immediately after the call was connected, Light Nostrade's low voice was heard from the other end of the line. Neon told me everything. Chapter 25. Is it possible that it was just my illusion? Obviously, the young lady went directly to her father to complain. Light Nostrade called to inquire about the situation and also wanted an explanation. Lon understood immediately that maybe he needed to take his previous words a little more seriously. But now, I asked someone to look after the young lady and not let her go out casually. Feeling the power in his body that had not yet dissipated, Lon said calmly, I see. After a brief silence of 2 seconds, Light Nostrade on the other end of the phone spoke. You must have your reasons and causes for doing this. Since I have given you the full authority to protect Neon, all actions outside will be under your control. You should be more professional than me in this regard. Light Nostrade did not hold anyone accountable or say anything else meaningful. Yes, it is just trust and delegation again. In this respect, Light Nostrade is indeed a good boss. No wonder Dalzaline was willing to risk his life for him. Of course, it is not ruled out that his trust was based on the fortune poems given to him by Neon. At that time, he relied on Neon's fortune poems to come to Meteor City and find Lon. But no matter what, Light Nostrade gave Lon such trust, and Lon was not ungrateful. Moreover, if this matter is not resolved soon, if Neon causes trouble again in the future and affects the relationship between them, that would not be good. Lon thought about it. And just as Light Nostrade was about to hang up the phone, he said, Boss, I think you should know that the divination that the young lady possesses is a special ability, right? Well, I know. This is a power that Neon was born with, a power given by God. Although he didn't know what Lon meant, he still felt a little proud when talking about it. This is a gift from God to Neon, and it is also a gift from God to him. Well, since the young lady can possess such power, others will also have similar abilities. Have you ever thought about this, boss? Light Nostrade was startled. What do you mean? What I mean is that other people may also awaken this strange power, And this power is not limited to divination. You mean, Light Nostrade was not a stupid man. He reacted vaguely. Among those who have awakened strange powers, their abilities may be offensive, defensive, or of course. Lon paused. Plunder and steal. Huh. Lon could clearly hear Light Nostrade's breathing becoming heavier on the other end of the line. Did you discover something? His voice became a little hoarse, and his heavy and rapid breathing was clearly audible. A little bit, Lon said vaguely, but I'm not sure. If you can't even be sure, then it means there is indeed a potential danger. Light Nostrade's voice suddenly rose. Yes, you are over at the Heavens Arena. Now the Heavens Arena has gathered fighters from all over the world to hold the battle Olympia. All kinds of people will come here. Those people you mentioned may have already come to that place. No, we can't let Neon stay in that place anymore. Come back. You have to come back quickly. Lon could faintly hear the roar and hysteria in the words. Light Nostrade seemed genuinely panicked. Boss, is it possible that it was just my illusion? Lon asked tentatively. Or, even if that group of guys exists, they're just here to add to the fun? I don't care about whether it's fun or not. Light Nostrade's attitude was quite firm. I only know that Neon is very unsafe there. On the other end of the phone, Lon couldn't see it, but Light Nostrade's eyes were already bloodshot. Lon, he called out Lan's name in a deep voice. I trust your judgment and feelings 100%, even more than you do yourself. Now, as the boss, I order you to come back from the Heavens Arena immediately, right now. But the fighting competition hasn't started yet, and the lady is looking forward to it. If we do this, will it? Don't worry about her, Light Nostrade said firmly. Everything is based on Neon's safety. It is based on Neon's divination ability, right? It was not surprising to Lon that Light Nostrade was so nervous and made such a judgment. After all, he started from scratch, and his hope of making a comeback lies in Neon. Everything he has, money, power, status, and reputation, is based on Neon's magical divination ability. If anything unexpected happened to Neon, he would become the little boss with nothing again. This is something Light Nostrade will never allow to happen. Neon's safety, or rather, the safety of her divination ability, is his bottom line. He will not tolerate any situation that threatens this ability. Light Nostrade's movements were extremely quick. Chapter 26.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.